Chapter 457. Genius remembers love in 1 second/small? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Tianyu's head bumped into Night Sorrow. At the same time, Night Sorrow's mind also sent out waves of energy. Night Sorrow easily understood that Tianyu wanted him to get on his back. Night Sorrow called out to Silver Fox and then jumped onto Tianyu's back. Silver Fox's speed was also very fast. As soon as Night Sorrow landed on Tianyu's back, Silver Fox also pounced at Night Sorrow's feet. Tianyu's wings flapped and rose into the sky. A protective energy shield appeared on his body. When the protective energy shield covered Night Sorrow and Silver Fox, Tianyu's body rushed out. Night Sorrow did not find any traces of flying. It was as if he was traveling through space. While Night Sorrow was surprised, Tianyu flew rapidly again. Night Sorrow confirmed that Tianyu's flight did have a blank period. In other words, when he was flying at high speed, he was traveling through space without a trace. At this time, Night Sorrow's mind sent out waves of energy. Although it was not a language, the message was very clear. Tianyu told Night Sorrow that this was a unique skill he learned after reaching rank 5. It was a skill that used space energy to perform space travel. However, it consumed a lot of energy and could not be used for a long time. Space energy. It was also a natural ability. Space travel was Tianyu's natural ability. After flying in the sky for a while and catching a giant python, Tianyu brought Night Sorrow and Silver Fox back to the camp. After landing, Tianyu crushed the giant python's head with his claws. Then, with a sharp peck, he cut open the giant python's stomach and ate the giant python's gallbladder. To think that a Tier 4 giant python couldn't even put up the slightest bit of resistance. Tianyu's combat prowess is truly impressive, Ho Jian lamented. Tianyu has the bloodline of the Azure Rock. After he advanced, the power of his bloodline is very obvious. He has a natural suppression against serpent beasts. Plus, there is a gap between their cultivation levels. So, there is no point in fighting, Night Sorrow said. Next, Ho Jian and the others cleaned up the 2,000 to 3,000 catties python and roasted it over the fire. Night Sorrow returned to the tent after helping Tianyu comb the feathers on his neck. At this time, Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu were practicing carving. They didn't have the ability to increase their soul power like Night Sorrow, so they could only rely on sculpting to increase their soul power. You're back. Did you have fun playing with Tianyu? Yang Lei's jade-like hands trembled as she finished the carving in her hands. Tianyu is too powerful. He actually has the ability to travel through space. Although the distance isn't very far, this move is very heaven-defying, Night Sorrow said as he brewed a pot of tea. Tianyu has the space attribute. In addition to his strong combat prowess, it is very difficult to defeat him unless one is a venerable. With just his speed, he is invincible. Sikong Chuyu also finished carving the jade statue in his hands. Night Sorrow looked at the carvings in Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu's hands and said, "Give these two to me." No. I believe that I will carve a better one. I will carve the most perfect one for you. Yang Lei shook her head and said, I think so too. Sikong Chuyu nodded, expressing the same thoughts as Yang Lei. Then Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu exchanged carvings. Almost at the same time, they directly shattered the carvings into pieces. What are you two doing? Night Sorrow looked at the two girls with some surprise. What's the point of keeping them? If word gets out, will you be happy? Yang Lei looked at Night Sorrow and asked. Not happy. I just feel that it's a pity. Night Sorrow said. At the same time, he understood what the two girls meant. Exchanging carvings and destroying them was a sign of respect. After all, destroying someone else's carvings was disrespectful. But there was no point in keeping them. After all, as one's carving skills improved, the carvings would also become better. The three of them drank tea and chatted. Night Sorrow had just finished his cultivation and needed to relax. Night Sorrow, although your tea brewing skills are not as good as Chu Yu's, it's still an improvement. Yang Lei said. Hee hee, it's fine as long as there's something to drink. Why are you so picky? Night Sorrow shook his head helplessly. You can only improve if I'm strict with you. Isn't that right? Yang Lei patted Night Sorrow's shoulder and said. Yes, ninth senior sister, you win. Night Sorrow poured himself a cup of tea and said with a smile. Brewing tea is also a kind of knowledge. It can calm the heart and cultivate one's character. It can be considered a kind of cultivation of the mind. Sikong Chuyu said. I understand. I'll be the tea master for the two of you in the future. Night Sorrow said with a smile. Mosenby 6, Section J, the current 13 has changed a lot. I clearly remember the first time I saw him. He was just a child. He looked a little weak, and his frown made one's heart ache. When I had the thought of liking him, I felt guilty. Yang Lei spoke of her feelings in a low voice. Yes, who would look at a child like Night Sorrow now? Yi Shang is already a young talent whose name shakes a region, Sikong Chuyu said. Chuyu, I originally planned to go to the Qingtian region to find you after I reached the 4th level. Later, when you came to the eastern Xian region, I decided to go to the Qingtian region Sikong clan to propose marriage when I reached the 5th level. However, plans can never keep up with changes. Night Sorrow said apologetically. What's the difference? Didn't you bully me? Sikong Chuyu said with a red face. Of course there's a difference. I want to propose marriage openly. Night Sorrow said. I'll wait for you. However, we're already together. There's no need to rush. Sikong Chuyu shook his head. That's right. At most, I'll give them a little grandson. If they don't believe me, who will say anything? Yang Lei pulled Sikong Chuyu's arm and said with a smile. Ninth senior sister, you're too direct. However, it's also a solution. Sikong Chuyu glared at Yang Lei and said. You guys have too little confidence in me. As long as I don't die, I can definitely do what I want to do. Night Sorrow said. Hey! What are you talking about? You're not even 20 years old, but you're already at the peak of the 3rd level of the Void Inquiry stage. What kind of concept is that? As long as the Sikong clan investigates it, they will have to consider it carefully. Yang Lei said. There's another thing that's been weighing on my mind. After Tianyu showed his talent, I realized that the problem wasn't simple. Night Sorrow said. What is it? Tell me. Sikong Chuyu asked. Do any of you know Taichuan? Night Sorrow thought for a moment and asked. Taichuan? I know this name, but I'm not sure if it's the same one I'm talking about. Yang Lei thought for a moment and said. Yang Lei then explained in detail what she knew. Taichuan was an ancient space that was even older than the ancient investiture of the Gods' War. It was an ancient battlefield where the cultivators of the 9 zones fought against cultivators from the outside world. However, that space has been shattered. Yang Lei took a sip of tea after explaining the details and came to a conclusion. Chapter 458. Genius 1 second. Remember love go divided by Shao. We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Why do you think so? Yang Lei stood up in surprise. She knew that Night Sorrow never lied. Baidu search AI go female sign Shao say www.aichuxs.com. The holy cauldron scripture of our Medicine Valley was found by me from there. My myriad Tao treasure book was also obtained from there. Do you understand? Yi Sheng asked. I know a little about Taichuan. Tell me, what do you know? Sikong Chuyu looked at Night Sorrow and asked. Night Sorrow told him what he had encountered. That's not right. According to the records in the Medicine Valley has a history of 7,000 years. The War of the Gods happened 10,000 years ago, not to mention the ancient battlefield that was much older than the War of the Gods. It doesn't match at all, Yang Lei said, shaking her head. Ninth senior sister, the Medicine Valley has a history of 7,000 years, but it might not be only 7,000 years. Something might have happened, and the inheritance might have been broken. Feng Chen claimed to be an elder of the Medicine Valley, so it can't be wrong. Love Go Xiao Say W, Chusikong Chuyu said. There's another possibility, which is that there was a problem with Taichuan, and the ancestors of the Medicine Valley happened to discover it and then went to guard it. It's impossible to calculate the time. It could be 6,000 years ago, or 3,000 years ago. Who knows? Yishang said. That's possible. Yang Lei nodded. She felt that Night Sorrow's analysis was reasonable. I suspect that Tianyu came from Taichuan. Otherwise, where would such a strange beast with an ancient bloodline come from? Night Sorrow speculated. Whatever you say is possible. We don't know what the hell the nether beast is, but it doesn't matter. If there was a problem, it would have happened long ago. We don't need to worry about it, Sikong Chuyu said. Then let's not think about it. Let's focus on the problem at hand. Night Sorrow knew that he was worrying for nothing. Taichuan is an ancient battlefield, one that existed even before the ancient war of investiture of the gods. There's nothing to think about. As for the matter at hand, let the Venerable One think about it. We just have to work hard and cultivate, Sikong Chuyu said. First LD Hair W, that's true. We think too highly of ourselves. Some things have nothing to do with us, Night Sorrow said after taking a sip of tea. After chatting for a while, Yishang went to the command tent and greeted a few of the upper echelons of the eastern Xian region. When they saw Night Sorrow, Lei Hua and the others were very polite. First of all, Night Sorrow's cultivation wasn't low. If this continued, he would rise very quickly. Secondly, there was the problem of identity and status. In the eyes of Lei Hua, Ho Yuan, and Lan Yushuan, Night Sorrow had to be treated as an equal. This was because once Night Sorrow officially became a celestial emissary of the Tianji Tower, his status would surpass theirs. As for the people of the City Lord Mansion, they weren't stupid either. They all knew how Wu Lingfei treated Night Sorrow. After coming out of the command tent, Night Sorrow went to the Medicine Valley and chatted with the Great Elder, Gong Xian, and the others for a while before returning to the tent. You're back. Yang Lei nodded at Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow nodded. Senior Lei and the others said that it's fine to maintain the current situation. Another thing is that the City Lord Mansion destroyed one of the Gu family's outposts. They hid it well, but if the City Lord Mansion wants to investigate, they won't be able to hide it. Ai Go Xiao Say, Chu Night Sorrow said. The Gu family has been developing very fast in recent years. They're quite powerful. If they want to expand their influence, they have to expand to other regions, Sikong Chuyu said. How powerful is the Gu family? Night Sorrow asked curiously. They're the most powerful family in the Qingtian region, which is ranked relatively high among the 9 regions. In other words, the 7 superpowers of the eastern Xian region may not be a match for the Gu family even if they join forces. Sikong Chuyu thought for a while and explained the situation of the Gu family. They're so powerful. Night Sorrow said in surprise. They're an old family that has been around for countless years. They have a deep foundation and many venerables. Therefore, the forces of the eastern Xian region can't compare to them. Sikong Chuyu introduced the Gu family to Night Sorrow and Yang Lei. No matter how powerful they are, I won't let them go. Night Sorrow clenched her fists and said. Let's not talk about this anymore. I'm a little annoyed. Yang Lei said. After chatting for a while, Night Sorrow went to chat and drink with Ho Jian and the others. Night Sorrow relaxed for 2 days. He had just taken the void elixir and improved his cultivation, so he needed to relax. The way to relax was to drink tea, drink wine, and walk around casually. This was not a suitable place for Night Sorrow to be intimate with the 2 girls. The soul power of venerables was very strong. It enveloped the entire campsite. Nothing that happened in the campsite could escape their detection. Night Sorrow naturally didn't dare to do anything overboard. After resting and relaxing, Night Sorrow began to cultivate. While he stabilized his true chi cultivation, he cultivated the myriad Dao's treasured tome and increased his soul power. At the same time, he cultivated his innate bloodline power. On this day, Night Sorrow was just cultivating when he was interrupted by a muffled sound. At this time, a great battle broke out in the sky above the defensive line. It was a full-scale battle between the dark spirit corpses. The battle was very intense. The dark spirit corpse commander in the lead was very strong. Lei Hua couldn't handle it alone. Then, Lan Yuxuan took action. The two of them attacked together and stabilized the situation. However, they were still at a disadvantage. Night Sorrow, what's going on? Why are there so many dark spirit corpses? Yang Lei looked at the sky with some astonishment. A very strong dark spirit corpse has appeared. It should be the dark spirit corpse commander. Its single combat power has already surpassed the strongest person on our side. Night Sorrow, whose soul power enveloped the battlefield, discovered the problem. At this time, the strongest person on the battlefield wasn't Lei Hua, but the dark spirit corpse wearing black armor. Ho Jian, Xue Ling, come here. Night Sorrow shouted at Ho Jian and Xue Ling, Captain. Ho Jian and Xue Ling hurried over. This is serious. You guys lead the team well. Ninth senior sister, lend me the black-feathered eagle. I will use the two mounts alternately. Use the fastest speed to report back. Night Sorrow gave some instructions and shouted at Yang Lei. Yang Lei nodded and threw the beast-taming crystal to Night Sorrow. Remember, safety first. If our sovereigns can't handle it, don't say anything else. Just retreat. Night Sorrow flashed onto Tianyu's back and rode Tianyu toward Star Cloud City. Night Sorrow could activate the phantom stone pearl that Wu Lingfei gave him, but he didn't think it was that bad. As long as Lei Hua and Lan Yuxuan didn't lose, the dark creatures wouldn't be able to attack. Night Sorrow controlled Tianyu and flew quickly toward Star Cloud City. After flying for an hour, Yishan found that he and Tianyu had been imprisoned. Not far in front of him was Wu Lingfei, who was wearing a white robe and a light veil and wearing a golden mask. Auntie Fei, I was just about to inform you. Night Sorrow said. Vice Palace Master Lei has informed Auntie Fei to keep the mounts. Let's go now, Wu Lingfei said. Wu Lingfei said. She waved her arm, and energy wrapped around Night Sorrow, who had put away his mount, and they flew towards Broken Cloud Mountain. Auntie Fei, that guy is very strong. Senior Lei and Supervisor Lan can't get the upper hand. Night Sorrow said worriedly. As long as they don't go back, Auntie Fei will kill them. Wu Lingfei said coldly. Tianyu had been flying at top speed for an hour, but Wu Lingfei had covered the distance in just a moment. Chapter 459. A Genius Remembers Love in 1 Second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. In the Battle of the Venerables, the Eastern Xian region's side was completely at a disadvantage. The main reason was that the strongest Lei Hua and Lan Yuxuan were completely suppressed by the strongest Dark Spirit Corps commander. It wouldn't be long before they were defeated. How audacious. Since you've come to attack, then die. Lei Hua, Lan Yuxuan, you two go somewhere else. Don't let them retreat. After speaking, Wu Lingfei's body flashed and appeared above the head of the Dark Spirit Corps commander that Lei Hua and Lan Yuxuan were attacking. Then, she sent out a palm strike. Wu Lingfei's palm strike didn't cause as much of an explosion as Lei Hua and Lan Yuxuan's attacks. However, the area covered by her jade-like hand had turned into a world of ice. This Dark Spirit Corpse wearing black armor was also wrapped in ice. It could be said that it was directly frozen. Crack. The Dark Spirit Corpse let out a low roar and the ice was broken. However, Wu Lingfei's second palm came and froze it again. Wu Lingfei continued to attack, and the Dark Spirit Corpse commander was constantly frozen and shaken, its aura plummeting. Die. After freezing the Dark Spirit Corpse commander once again, Wu Lingfei's body flickered, and she arrived in front of the ice block where the Dark Spirit Corpse commander was sealed, and pressed out with her palm again. Wu Lingfei's palm was no longer filled with white cold qi. Instead, it was filled with light green energy that was brimming with vitality. Love go little say could the energy of this palm hit the dark spiritual corpse commander that had just shaken off the ice seal. There was no sound. The dark spirit zombie commander instantly disintegrated. Its armor didn't shatter, and neither did its blade. However, its body shattered into bits and pieces. What kind of attack is this? Yang Lei, who was standing beside Night Sorrow, asked in surprise. Life energy attacks just happened to counter the death attribute. Night Sorrow's eyes were also filled with shock. Wu Ling concubine was unbelievably strong. The dark spirit corpse that had suppressed Lei Hua and Lan Yuxuan for half a day was killed in a few palms. After killing this dark spirit corpse commander, Wu Lingfei's body flashed as she charged towards another dark spirit corpse. She continued to freeze it and then killed it with a palm strike. After the two dark spirit corpses were killed, the other dark spirit corpses used their own methods to escape. However, there was another unlucky dark spirit corpse that was caught up by Wu Lingfei after killing the second dark spirit corpse. After freezing it with a few palms, she easily killed it. After killing the three dark spirit corpses, Wu Lingfei didn't continue the chase. She flashed and landed beside Night Sorrow. Baidu search AI go female sign shao say www.aichuxs.com Auntie Fei, you are too overbearing. Night Sorrow said excitedly. Originally, I couldn't be bothered to deal with them. Our Eastern Xian region is also training our soldiers, but I didn't expect them to have such thoughts and want to fight their way in. Wu Lingfei's words were filled with disdain and confidence. After a while, Lei Hua, Lan Yuxuan, Qin Nan, Ho Yuan, and the others returned. Their complexions weren't too good. When they arrived in front of Wu Lingfei, they bowed and said, "Sorry to disappoint Lord." They ran into the spatial tunnel. "It's nothing. Stabilize the situation and follow the old plan. This Lord will stay here. If they have the ability, then charge." Wu Lingfei threw down these words and then waved her hand at the others. Lei Hua and the others bowed and left to prepare the defense. "Let's go. Go and make a pot of tea for Auntie Fei." Wu Lingfei turned and said to Night Sorrow. "Oh, send a CD." Night Sorrow nodded and brought Wu Lingfei into the tent. Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu also followed. Holding the tea that Night Sorrow made, Wu Lingfei played with the teacup and pondered. "Then Lord, please take a seat. We will go out for a walk." Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu stood up. Wu Lingfei was wearing a mask, so she couldn't drink tea. However, she didn't intend to take off her mask. "Sit. You are all Night Sorrow's people. Some things can't be hidden forever," Wu Lingfei said and took off her mask. "This lord is the Tower Lord of Tianji Tower in front of others. However, I am also the City Lord of Dongxian City. When I am in charge of Tianji Tower, I wear a mask. When I am in charge of the City Lord Manor, I wear a veil. Only a few people know of this lord's identity. In fact, it's not that I am afraid of being exposed. I just don't want to be involved in too many things," Wu Lingfei said while drinking tea. "Lord, don't worry. We are not people with big mouths," Yang Lei said. At this time, she was still shocked by Wu Lingfei's stunning beauty. "Night Sorrow, why didn't you activate the spirit orb that Auntie Fei gave you?" Wu Lingfei looked at Night Sorrow and asked. "Didn't Auntie Fei say that I should only activate it when my life is in danger? The situation just now was quite urgent, but it wasn't to the point where my life was in danger." Night Sorrow said the reason why he didn't activate it. "You are right. These things are Eastern Xian region's matters. Auntie Fei gave you the spirit orb, which is for your personal use. If it is not necessary, you can't activate it." Wu Lingfei looked at Night Sorrow and said. "Night Sorrow understands." Night Sorrow nodded. "You two also sit down. If you don't mind, you can call this lord the same way as Night Sorrow. Although this lord's face is young, I didn't take advantage of you. Wu Lingfei looked at Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu and said. Auntie Fei is joking. Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu both nodded. Your sky blue water attribute has been activated, and it has also begun to strengthen your body. This is the effect of an ultimate attribute. This lord's profound jade body is also based on the same principle as yours. Wu Lingfei looked at Sikong Chuyu and said. Many thanks for Auntie Fei's guidance. Sikong Chuyu bowed to Wu Lingfei. It's nothing. Your name is Yang Lei, right? You don't need to worry. Every attribute has an ultimate attribute, and the thunder attribute is the same. Whether you can comprehend it or not depends on the opportunity. When the opportunity arrives, it naturally won't be a problem. The thunder attribute is also divided into two types. One is the purple flame thunder attribute, and the other is the black demon thunder attribute. The former belongs to the gentler side of the thunder attribute and contains vitality. It is like an ancient tree that can still be reborn after being struck by lightning. This is the purple flame thunder attribute, and the black demon thunder attribute is destructive. If you have the opportunity, you should also walk the former path. Wu Lingfei looked at Yang Lei and said. Many thanks for Auntie Fei's advice. Yang Lei stood up and cupped her hands. You don't need to be so polite. Night Sorrow, later on, you will prepare a tent for Auntie Fei. During this time, Auntie Fei will cultivate here. Wu Lingfei said to Night Sorrow. Good, I will prepare it for Auntie Fei in a moment. Night Sorrow came out of the tent and said to Ho Jian before returning to the tent. Your cultivation has increased, but at this stage, you must advance steadily. Wu Lingfei reminded Night Sorrow again. Is Auntie Fei's cultivation progressing well? Night Sorrow asked. He already understood Wu Lingfei's level. Wu Lingfei's goal was to break through to the sage realm and become a sage. If she could take this step, then the problem of the death space would be solved. How should I say it? If I forcefully break through, there is a chance. But if I have time to settle down, it will be better. Besides, I am not in a hurry now. Wu Lingfei said with a smile. Auntie Fei, what is the level of the dark spirit corpse today? Night Sorrow thought for a moment and asked. It is indeed very strong. It is at the late stage of the sage realm. Because its attribute suppresses Lei Hua and the others, and its cultivation is higher, Lei Hua and the others couldn't withstand it. Wu Lingfei said. Chapter 460. Genius 1 second. Remember love/go/little. Show on Net provides you with wonderful novels to read. That guy should be the leader of the death space. He's already at the peak of the 8th level and can enter the 9th level at any time. Wu Lingfei said. You, L forever, K long. Exempt X hashtag fee. You look at little percent / say, Auntie Fei, are you confident in dealing with it? Night Sorrow asked. No problem, I think I'll still need you when the time comes. Wu Lingfei glanced at Night Sorrow and said. I'm fine. If you need me to do anything, just let me know. Night Sorrow said. Let's not talk about the Dark Island spatial tunnel rejecting cultivators above the 5th level. The spatial tunnel's energy resistance is very strong, right? It looks at attributes. The death attribute suppresses other attributes, so ordinary attributes will be blocked outside. However, you won't be suppressed. You can enter. Wu Lingfei said. But won't I be abused if I go in? Night Sorrow said with a bitter smile. No, I'll put it this way. The soul orb that Auntie Fei gave you isn't an ordinary soul orb. It's a phantom stone orb that contains a soul avatar. The phantom stone can nourish the avatar. In the end, it won't be much different from the original body. Wu Lingfei said. This is Auntie Fei's soul avatar? Night Sorrow took out the phantom stone orb and looked at Wu Lingfei with surprise. Yes, when it's cultivated to perfection, it'll be a flesh and blood avatar. Wu Lingfei explained. Then I understand. Night Sorrow then put away the phantom stone orb. Last time, when I asked you to take the memory crystal to the crack in the dark sky, I wasn't worried about your safety because the phantom stone was in your arms. Wu Lingfei said to Night Sorrow. So it's like this. Then why didn't Auntie Fei take care of that fellow after seeing it last time? Night Sorrow asked the question in his heart. Because it's not worth it, Aunt Fei's clone has not cultivated to the large success realm. If it comes out from the void Dao stone, the losses will be great. That guy is at most a jar, not even a porcelain. Do you think it's worth it for Aunt Fei to lose her own clone and fight with it? Wu Lingfei smiled as she looked at Night Sorrow. Of course it's not worth it. How can it compare to Auntie Fei? Thank you, Auntie Fei. Night Sorrow bowed and said. His heart was filled with gratitude, because Wu Lingfei had mentioned it a few times. If she were to activate the void Dao stone orb in danger, it would be equivalent to destroying her clone's future. You call me Auntie Fei, so you are my family in this world. If you are in danger, Auntie Fei will not sit idly by. Actually, Auntie Fei has long treated you as a junior. Wu Lingfei reached out to help Night Sorrow up. Night Sorrow nodded and did not say anything else. When Auntie Fei's clone cultivates to the large success realm, you can bring the void Dao stone orb into this space and activate it. Then, Auntie Fei's clone will be able to clean up the guy inside. Wu Lingfei said her thoughts. Auntie Fei, just inform me when you can. Night Sorrow said. Alright, then let's do it this way. You don't have to feel any pressure, this is not a big deal. Auntie Fei will go and cultivate. In addition, you don't have to worry about any law attacks. Right now, Auntie Fei is in the nourishing stage, so it won't cause any other disturbances. After Wu Lingfei finished speaking, she put on her mask and left Night Sorrow's tent. Night Sorrow had already arranged for Ho Jian and the others to set up their tents. After sending off Wu Lingfei, Night Sorrow, Yang Lei, and Sikong Chuyu sat facing each other. It's too shocking. I've seen Venerables fight before. It's not easy for Venerables to kill Venerables. After all, at that level, if they don't want to fight, they can still run away. But Auntie Fei's methods. Sikong Chuyu sighed. She can dominate the battle by herself. She can directly kill them. She can directly declare that if you don't accept it, then come. I guess this Venerables won't come out. If they come out, they'll just die. Yang Lei was also deeply moved. Yi Shang didn't say anything. He just smiled at the two women and continued to cultivate. He wanted to cultivate his Jin Qi and soul power, as well as strengthen his bloodline talent. As for the myriad Dao treasured tome, he wanted to stabilize his cultivation and advance naturally. The consolidation realm of the myriad Dao treasured tome was a very easy realm for Night Sorrow. In the past, every advancement and breakthrough was an unbearable torture for him. Once he started cultivating, Night Sorrow lost all sense of time. He cultivated for 3 days straight. He only stood up after exhausting all the soul crystals in his hand. His myriad Dao treasured tome cultivation had also reached level 9 of the consolidation realm. This time, not only did Night Sorrow successfully break through the myriad Dao treasured tome, his Qi cultivation had also reached perfection. He could break through at any time. Night Sorrow was not in a hurry to break through. He glanced at Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu who were meditating with their eyes closed. He then left the tent and went to the front of the line of defense. This time, Lord Wu Kei has really scared the dark creatures. Their line of defense collapsed. Some of the high-level dark creatures ran back, and the low-level ones were all killed. It can be said that they have regained their clarity. Lan Yuxuan came to Night Sorrow's side and said, Yes. This is the power of the strong. One person can change the situation of the battle and turn the situation around. Night Sorrow said. Wu Lingfei's arrival had caused the dark creatures to retreat. This made him feel very emotional. Your cultivation has improved very quickly. I believe that you will be such a person in the future. Lan Yuxuan looked at Night Sorrow and said. Lord Supervisor is too kind. However, I will work hard. Night Sorrow said with a smile. It's not a compliment. It's the truth. Take it slow. You can definitely do it. Lan Yuxuan looked at Night Sorrow seriously and said. Night Sorrow nodded. He believed in himself. Currently, he could fight above his level. As long as he maintained this momentum, he would definitely be able to fight above his level when he entered the Supremacy Realm in the future. As for whether he could enter the Supremacy Realm, Night Sorrow had never worried. If he could cultivate his soul power, entering the Supremacy Realm would not be a problem. Currently, the dark creatures have retreated. However, the hidden problem is still there. Every day that we don't solve it is another day that we won't feel at ease. This spatial passageway is very biased. It really makes people feel very helpless. Lan Yuxuan looked at the direction of the spatial passageway and said. Everything will work out when the time comes. There shouldn't be any problem that can't be solved. It's just that the time isn't right yet. Night Sorrow said. As for the solution that Wu Lingfei mentioned, Night Sorrow did not mention it. Night Sorrow, your cultivation base has reached the peak of the peak third level of the Void Inquiry stage. You are about to enter the mid-Void Inquiry stage. Qin Nan also walked over. Since Commander Qin is here, I plan to rest for a while before going to break through. Night Sorrow said. Very good. The speed of your improvement is really impressive. Reaching the mid-Void Inquiry stage before the age of 20 has never happened before in the history of the 9 regions and 18 prefectures. Lan Yuxuan said. There should be. Perhaps I keep a low profile and don't want people to know about me. So, Supervisor Lan and Commander Qin, please don't praise me. Night Sorrow said. Chapter 461. A genius remembers love in 1 second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. That energy slash is my innate bloodline power, Night Sorrow said. Night Sorrow didn't have the habit of lying. Either he evaded or didn't say anything. As for the situation with the spatial crack, Lan Yuxuan, Qin Nan, and the others had all seen it. It wasn't appropriate for him to evade. You actually have a bloodline talent? You haven't even reached tier 5, yet your combat techniques and control are already at the venerable realm. You've even surpassed me. Now, you've even come up with some bloodline talent. Do you still want others to live? Qin Nan looked at Night Sorrow unhappily. I was born with it. There's nothing I can do about it, Night Sorrow said with a smile. All right. This commander has nothing to say. Qin Nan shook her head. After chatting with Qin Nan and Lan Yuxuan for a while, Night Sorrow went to have a drink with his senior brothers before returning to his tent. When Night Sorrow returned, Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu were practicing carving. Wu Lingfei was also present. Aunt Fei, you're here. Night Sorrow greeted her with a smile. For you to be able to find this path, you are truly formidable. This is indeed a good method. Soul power is mental energy. Focus your mind, and your soul power will increase quickly. You really have a way. Although I didn't check, Aunt Fei can feel that your soul power already has a foundation. Wu Lingfei opened her mouth and said. That's right, Wu Lingfei said. Auntie Fei, Night Sorrow is very shameless. His soul force can cultivate by itself, and he can also absorb soul crystals. We can only use this method. Sikong Chuyu pointed at Night Sorrow and complained. Haha. Yi Shang really is shameless in some ways, but there's nothing we can do about it. The way you two cultivate your soul strength isn't bad. Once your foundation is stable, you can cultivate on your own. Although you can't compare to Yi Shang, you'll still be ahead of other cultivators. That's good enough, said Wu Lingfei. Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu both nodded. It was a joke to say that Night Sorrow was shameless. Love go little say ku, alright, you guys continue to cultivate. Wu Lingfei got up and left the tent. After sending concubine Wu Ling off, Night Sorrow greeted the two ladies and went into seclusion. He wanted to break through to the fourth level of the void inquiry stage. While Night Sorrow was in seclusion, the others weren't idling around either. Some of them were in seclusion, while others were cultivating. Currently, only 7 or 8 people in the Bloodstrike Guard had yet to reach the 5th rank. Lei Bao and Lei Zheng had also reached the peak of the 8th level of the Divine Severing Realm. It was only recently that they advanced to the 9th level of the Divine Severing Realm. Qin Zhen had the smoothest progress. He had already entered the Divine Severing Realm. Other than Night Sorrow, there was no one else in the Medicine Valley who could achieve this speed. It was Night Sorrow who overshadowed his sharpness. Tianyu brought the silver fox out to play every day. It was different from before. Not only did it eat cooked food, but it also ate raw food. Perhaps it needed a lot of energy. Besides, its successful advancement had also increased its ferocious qi. After spending 2 days, Night Sorrow's true qi cultivation base reached the 4th level of the void inquiry stage. After his advancement, Night Sorrow was one of the strongest second-generation disciples in the Medicine Valley. Currently, the strongest second-generation disciples in the Medicine Valley were Gong Xian and Yang Lei, who were both at the 4th level of the void inquiry stage. Night Sorrow was also at the 4th level of the void inquiry stage. After a successful advancement and stabilizing his cultivation base, Night Sorrow went out of the tent and stretched his body. Silver Fox, come here. Night Sorrow was stunned when he saw the Silver Fox. It was because the Silver Fox had entered the Divine Severing Realm without him knowing. At this moment, Tianyu's spirit wave reached Night Sorrow's mind. It told Night Sorrow that the Silver Fox felt that its innate bloodline would cause a disturbance if it broke through in the campsite. Therefore, it asked Tianyu to bring it to the Broken Cloud Mountain to break through. Not bad. Night Sorrow reached out his hand and touched the Silver Fox's head. Night Sorrow played with Tianyu and the Silver Fox for a while. Then, he went to visit his brothers in the Blood Robes Guards. He also asked Xue Ling about the issue of resources. We have the resources. Thank you very much, Captain. Xue Ling bowed to Night Sorrow. You're welcome. I can concoct pills myself. What I lack is the materials. We can slowly gather the materials. The most practical thing is to turn the resources we have into strength. Night Sorrow said. Materials? We, the 5th squad of the Blood Robes Guards, used to train in the mountains. We have collected a lot of materials. I'll ask later. Xue Ling's eyes lit up when he heard Night Sorrow's words. Okay. What kind of pills do you want to concoct? Having the materials is not a problem. Night Sorrow nodded to Xue Ling. After chatting with Xue Ling for a while, Night Sorrow went to drink with Ho Jian and Lei Bao before returning to the tent. You don't have to worry too much. They are very motivated people, Yang Lei said. Since they trust me as their captain, I have to ask them. Night Sorrow sat down and said. You did well. Have some tea. Sikong Chuyu poured a cup of tea for Night Sorrow. With Aunt Fei here, it's so quiet. The dark creatures don't even come out, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Aunt Fei's existence is the reason they came out. They are attacking the insurmountable mountain of the eastern Xian region. If they don't defeat Aunt Fei, all their methods and everything they rely on will be useless, Sikong Chuyu said. Yes. I don't know how long it will take to finish things here. Let's just cultivate here. Night Sorrow said. We'd better go with the flow. A calm heart will be at peace. Yang Lei patted Night Sorrow's shoulder. She was worried that Night Sorrow would not like this situation. Night Sorrow nodded. His state of mind was relatively calm. In the following days, Night Sorrow cultivated his foundation at night and his combat skills during the day. Then, he took Tianyu out to hunt to improve the food of the Blood Robes Guards. In addition, his 7-star Brilliant Moon Spear had reached 6 spears in 1. X only I genuine EQ, Q his carat he 3 was a pirated version. According to Wu Lingfei, he would be able to cultivate the 7-star Brilliant Moon Spear to perfection when he reached the late 5th order. The Blood Robes guards, Ho Jian, and the others would practice combat skills every day. However, Night Sorrow couldn't because there was no one to spar with him. Cultivating the 7-star Brilliant Moon Spear to 6 spears in one allowed Night Sorrow's combat ability to improve. Night Sorrow also wanted to cultivate the Rebound Energy and Needle in the Cotton, but he was stopped by Wu Lingfei, who had come out to take a breather. Wu Lingfei felt that Night Sorrow's 3 energy exertion techniques were enough. Switching back and forth between 3 energy exertion techniques was already very good for offense and defense. Night Sorrow had absorbed Wu Lingfei's opinion. He also understood that some things were much better when cultivated to perfection than when grasping many things without proficiency. In addition, Wu Lingfei also taught Night Sorrow how to hide his attributes on a deeper level. Previously, Night Sorrow had used the mysterious jade spiritual energy in his hands to change his attributes, which was more troublesome. Now, Wu Lingfei had taught Night Sorrow a unique skill to dissolve his attributes. This was the second stage of the mysterious jade hands. When the Dantian's true qi was circulated through the veins in the hands, the mysterious jade hands characteristics would be used to dissolve the attributes. The second stage of the mysterious jade hands was very powerful. Not only did it solve Night Sorrow's problem of concealing his attributes, it could also dissolve the opponent's attributes. This was a heaven-defying method. Chapter 462. Genius 1 second. Remember love divided by go divided by little? I'll provide you with wonderful novels to read. Thank you, Aunt Fei. Love go little say, Chu. Night Sorrow, who had successfully upgraded the mysterious jade hands, bowed to Wu Lingfei. Hee, Aunt Fei is happy that you've achieved something. I'm really happy. Wu Lingfei said with a smile. Actually, I like Aunt Fei's ice seal the most. That move is really domineering. Night Sorrow said. That won't work. That's the manifestation of Aunt Fei's mysterious jade body's ice attribute energy. You only have ice attribute in your hands. That's far from enough. Moreover, the mysterious jade hands can only dissolve ordinary attributes. Ordinary attributes can't restrain it, but it can't dissolve high-level attributes. It can only dissolve your own attributes because they all come from your body. Wu Lingfei said while shaking her head. Night Sorrow helplessly nodded. He couldn't cultivate the ice seal. There was nothing he could do about it. Night Sorrow, you should be content with what you have. Wait until you've succeeded in cultivating the nihility attribute. You'll have more trump cards. The sovereign attribute can suppress other attributes. However, it's better if you don't show it. It'll attract too much hatred. Wu Lingfei sighed. She had never heard of anyone who could master the sovereign attribute. I'll work hard. Night Sorrow said while waving his arms. Take your time. I'm really looking forward to it. Wu Lingfei said. Aunt Fei, there's one more thing I want to tell you. After the matter here is settled, I'll leave the eastern Xian region to explore the outside world. Night Sorrow said to Wu Lingfei. Aunt Fei understands. Aunt Fei won't stop you. We'll discuss it in detail when the time comes. Wu Lingfei said. Okay, I'll tell Aunt Fei in detail when the time comes. Night Sorrow said. Those guys are asking for a beating. They even want to expand their forces towards the eastern Xian region. We've really given them some face. This matter isn't over yet. Wu Lingfei said. Night Sorrow nodded. He knew that Wu Lingfei had a huge grudge with the Qingtian region and Taiyue region. To be precise, it was the eastern Xian region that had a huge grudge with them. After chatting for a while, Night Sorrow began to cultivate. Night Sorrow's cultivation was multi-pronged. He ate the origin spiritual liquid, held the ice spirit blood essence in his left hand, and held the soul crystal in his right hand. He cultivated his quintessential qi, the myriad Daos tome, and his soul energy together. This made Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu shake their heads. This situation had only happened to Night Sorrow. They had never heard of anyone else doing this. Time passed quickly, and in the blink of an eye, a month had passed. Night Sorrow was facing a problem as well. He had used up all the ice spirit blood essence, and his myriad Tao tome was only at the mid-stage of the 9th level of the consolidation realm. He was still half a level away. This made Night Sorrow feel very helpless. He really didn't want to use the life spirit liquid. The life spirit liquid was a top-grade resource. In the future, he would be able to use it when he reached the 6th or even the 7th step of the myriad Tao tome. Using it now was equivalent to killing the goose that laid the golden eggs. What's wrong? Why are you frowning? Wu Lingfei entered the tent and saw Night Sorrow frowning. Resources. Auntie Fei, you know that I cultivate my body. I'm currently at the peak of the 4th step, and I'm just 1 step away from advancing. However, I still don't have the resources to reach the 5th step. Night Sorrow said. When you reach the 4th step, you use the ice spirit blood essence to aid your cultivation, right? You can continue to search for the 5th step resources in the Eastern Icefield Sea. Wu Lingfei said. The ice spirit blood essence is very suitable for my cultivation of the 4th step. However, it's lacking when it comes to the 5th step. Night Sorrow expressed his confusion. Auntie Fei, you know that the Eastern Icefield Sea doesn't only have the ice spirit blood essence. There's also a type of black tortoise crystal. It's an energy body that's even stronger than the ice spirit blood essence. However, this type of crystal is buried at the bottom of the Icefield Sea and is very difficult to find. When your body's qi and blood churn and your essence qi rises, it should trigger a reaction from the black tortoise crystal. Wu Lingfei opened her mouth and said. That's right, Wu Lingfei said. Then I understand. It's good that you have a target. I'll go look for it later. Night Sorrow was somewhat excited. The general area is east of the Eastern Snow Mountain. Black tortoises have appeared in that sea region. The black tortoise crystal is formed when their energy is tempered by the Icefield Sea's icefield qi after they die. Wu Lingfei said to Night Sorrow. Good. That's great. Night Sorrow was extremely happy. Then, Auntie Fei will tell you another piece of good news. Wu Lingfei smiled at Night Sorrow. Auntie Fei, don't spoil my appetite. Tell me what other good news you have. I've been having a headache trying to find the resources to cultivate this body. It's best if you can solve it. Night Sorrow asked somewhat anxiously. The black tortoise crystal is ordinary. There's also a type of blood spirit tortoise. After their deaths, they'll be tempered by the Icefield Sea and form a crystal that contains even more tyrannical energy. That's the blood spirit tortoise crystal. Of course, it's very difficult to obtain. Wu Lingfei said. I'll definitely get it. As long as it's available, I'll find a way to get it. Night Sorrow said. This is what Auntie Fei found after she was injured. It's recorded in an ancient body cultivator's handbook. It's definitely available, but it's very difficult to obtain. That senior only managed to obtain one. Wu Lingfei said. Then I'll prepare and set off. Night Sorrow said. You have to be steady. Steadiness is also a result of settling down and also a sign of maturity. Wu Lingfei said to Night Sorrow. Chapter TG New Chapter, Section Z, Night Sorrow understands. I'm just too excited. This problem has always been on my mind. If I can solve this problem, then I'll only need to cultivate in the future and not think about anything else. Night Sorrow clenched his fist and said. I won't stimulate you anymore. Prepare and set off. Also, be careful. The blood spirit tortoise is not to be trifled with. It's very strong, but its weakness is its slow speed. The other threat is the snow doves. They're a group of demon beasts. Wu Lingfei said. Don't worry, Auntie Fei. Night Sorrow nodded. I'm not worried about you. Also, if your life is in danger, just activate the Void Dao Stone Orb. My doppelganger will be able to cultivate to large success. When you reach the Ice Plains Sea, my doppelganger will be more or less finished cultivating. Wu Lingfei warned Night Sorrow. I understand. Then I'll set off tonight. Night Sorrow said. Wu Lingfei nodded and didn't say anything else. She'd already warned him. After chatting with Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu for a while and informing the Blood Strike Guards and Ho Jian, Night Sorrow rode on Tianyu and set off with Silver Fox. Tianyu's speed was extremely fast. In a few hours, they arrived at Nebula Sect's Nebula City. Night Sorrow took the teleportation array to the Thunder Rumbling Sect. The Thunder Rumbling Sect was the closest to the Eastern Ice Plains. Night Sorrow wore a mask, so the people from the Thunder Rumbling Sect didn't even ask. After leaving the Thunder Rumbling City, Night Sorrow flew towards the Eastern Ice Plains. Even from the Thunder Rumbling Sect to the Eastern Ice Plains, there was still a distance of hundreds of thousands of miles. Tianyu flew rapidly every day. Night Sorrow cultivated on Tianyu's back. Night Sorrow noticed that Silver Fox's cultivation was increasing very quickly. Its speed of absorbing energy was very fast. Night Sorrow could almost feel the energy of heaven and earth converging on its body. Night Sorrow's cultivation was also increasing very quickly. Now, he was cultivating without any distractions. He was even faster than when he was camping at Broken Cloud Mountain. After all, there were still some things to take care of at the campsite. Chapter 463. Genius 1 second. Remember Love Go/Little. We provide you with wonderful novels to read. The nine-tailed fox was a top-tier beast in ancient times. It was also in the top 10 of the beast ranking. It was on the same level as the Green Roc, Black Swan, Golden Dragon, and Blood Kirin. This was also the reason why Night Sorrow didn't dare to expose the silver fox in front of others. It was too shocking and would cause conflict. The nine-tailed fox's bloodline was very noble. Its blood was an extremely precious material that could change a cultivator's physique. If word got out, who knew how many people would covet it? The silver fox had 5 tails. 4 were big and 1 was small at the bottom. However, its size was still the same. It didn't grow, but its combat strength had increased a lot. The silver fox's 4 sharp claws and tails were fierce weapons. Ordinary level 4 monsters couldn't even touch its shadow before they were killed. However, Night Sorrow still didn't know what attribute this silver fox had. After 20 days, Night Sorrow arrived at the Eastern Icefield. When he arrived at the Eastern Icefield, Night Sorrow had a familiar feeling. He had been here twice, and each time, it was different. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow didn't get off his mount. He directly flew. He felt that there was no need to run on the ice. 1 piece of ice spirit blood essence was enough. There was no need to specifically look for it. When he went to the East Snow Mountain to look for the Xian Turtle Crystal, he could do it on the way. At the same time, Night Sorrow also knew the importance of resources. If he had the support of the ice spirit blood essence, he would have reached the peak of the consolidation realm. However, there was still a long way to go. After spending a day and a half, Night Sorrow arrived at the East Snow Mountain. Standing on Tianyu's back and looking at the East Snow Mountain, Night Sorrow felt a little emotional. The Wu Lingfei he met here had also changed his own path here. Without stopping, Night Sorrow rode Tianyu and continued to fly east. After flying for a few hundred miles, Night Sorrow's body flashed and landed on the ice. This was the area that Wu Lingfei had mentioned. In other words, there was a Xian Turtle Crystal here. After landing on the ice, Night Sorrow started to circulate the myriad Tao Tome at full speed. He was still trying to attract the ice spirit's blood essence to erupt. More accurately, he was trying to attract the black tortoise's spiritual body to erupt. At this moment, Night Sorrow was circulating the myriad Tao's tome at full power. The essence chi above his head had already reached a height of more than 10 meters. After Night Sorrow activated the myriad Tao tome, he ran on the ice. After running for tens of miles, an explosive sound came from the ice surface. An ice well appeared. Then, a blood-red crystal appeared in the well. In the past, Night Sorrow had to be very careful when collecting them. Now, he didn't have to. He stretched out his arm and shot out a beam of energy, shaking the ice origin well. Then, he reached out and grabbed the ice spirit blood essence. Love go little say Knight Sorrow exhaled. The ice spirit blood essence could no longer satisfy his needs. What he needed were the spirit turtle crystals, and in large quantities at that. After all, those were the resources to support his Tao querying realm cultivation in the myriad Tao treasured tome. Going from the Tao querying realm to the spirit refinement realm required a large amount of resources. Then, Knight Sorrow continued to move forward. 4 hours later, Knight Sorrow felt a tremor beneath his feet. The tremor was getting stronger and stronger. Then, there was a rumbling sound. After Knight Sorrow left his original spot, he realized that the rumbling sound was following him. Then, there was an explosion behind him. The ice surface exploded and a water column shot up into the sky. In the water column, there was a white light that rushed towards Knight Sorrow. Not knowing what was going on, Knight Sorrow activated his protective shield and retreated quickly. Knight Sorrow retreated quickly. The white light chased after him. However, at this moment, Knight Sorrow could see clearly what the white light was. It was a white crystal that contained extremely dense energy. It was the energy of blood. After stopping, Knight Sorrow waved his arm and grabbed the crystal in his hand. Mystic Tortoise Crystal. After grabbing the crystal that was the size of a human head, Knight Sorrow confirmed what it was. It was the Mystic Tortoise Crystal that he needed. Knight Sorrow reached out and rubbed the Mystic Tortoise Crystal. Then, he put it in his ring and continued moving forward. Knight Sorrow felt that finding the Mystic Tortoise Crystal was more convenient than finding the Ice Spirit Blood Essence. This thing resonated more strongly with his blood. However, it was deeper in the sea, so it would take a longer time to trigger. Knight Sorrow activated the Myriad Tao Tome at full speed and continued running. However, while running, Knight Sorrow swallowed the spiritual origin liquid and held the Ice Spirit Blood Essence in his hand. He cultivated as he ran. Half a day later, another Mystic Tortoise Crystal was in Knight Sorrow's hand. Knight Sorrow was very satisfied with this speed. Originally, he was worried that this thing would not be easy to find and would take a long time. However, according to this speed, it would not be too difficult. In the evening, Knight Sorrow was also attacked. It was the most common flying demonic beast in the eastern icefield, snow doves. Moreover, they were flying demonic beasts that lived in groups. However, this group of snow doves was of a low level. The strongest was only rank 4. This group of snow doves did not pose a threat to him. This was due to Tianyu's strength. Every time Tianyu attacked, he would take the life of a snow dove. Rank 4 snow doves could not resist at all in front of the rank 5 Tianyu. After a dozen or so of them were killed, the snow doves retreated. They were suppressed by Tianyu in terms of talent and cultivation, so they did not have the ability to fight. Knight Sorrow was not interested in participating in this kind of battle. He continued to run and search for the Mystic Tortoise Crystal. His days were very stable. Knight Sorrow ran every day. In any case, it did not affect his cultivation. Tianyu followed behind Knight Sorrow in the sky. Silver Fox was more comfortable than Knight Sorrow and Tianyu. It ran behind Knight Sorrow. When it was tired, it would ask Tianyu to lower its flying altitude. It would then jump on Tianyu's back to rest. When it had rested enough, it would run behind Knight Sorrow. In the blink of an eye, Knight Sorrow had stayed in this area for more than 20 days. He collected some Ice Spirit Blood Essences, a dozen Mystic Tortoise Crystals, and 2 Blood Spirit Tortoise Crystals. Knight Sorrow was not satisfied with such a harvest. He did not want to let go of the opportunity to obtain cultivation resources in the future. He wanted to get more. This way, he would not have to worry about the future and would not need to come here again. Knight Sorrow, who had made up his mind, continued to run back and forth in this area. These 20 days of cultivation had allowed his myriad Tao treasured tome to reach the peak of the 9th level of the consolidation realm. He would enter the Tao querying realm with one more step. Knight Sorrow was not in a hurry to level up the myriad Tao treasured tome. He consolidated the cultivation of the myriad Tao treasured tome while cultivating his soul power and qi. As time passed, Night Sorrow's harvest increased. He estimated that he had enough cultivation resources for the Tao querying realm. However, he only had 6 blood spirit tortoise crystals. It was still a little short of the number he wanted. Although he did not know how many resources were needed to reach the golden body realm from the spirit refinement realm, Night Sorrow knew that it would not be a small amount. After calculating the time, Night Sorrow had been out of the eastern Xian domain's broken cloud mountain for more than 2 months. It was almost 3 months. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow felt that he should stay for a while longer. After all, Wu Lingfei was there. There would not be any problems. Above, Night Sorrow ran as he pondered. At this moment, the ground beneath Night Sorrow's feet shook violently. It was much stronger than before. It was almost incomparable. Yi Shang's expression changed slightly as he continued to run forward. Chapter 464. A Genius Remembers Love in 1 Second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. At this moment, Night Sorrow's heart trembled. The thing in the sky was a tortoise. It was a gigantic blood-red tortoise. Its huge body covered half of the sky. Its body was 60 to 70 feet in diameter, and its eyes were much bigger than millstones. There was even a single horn on its head. While observing this massive creature, Night Sorrow waved his arm and put the blood spirit turtle crystal that was charging at him into his storage ring. After collecting the blood spirit turtle crystal, Night Sorrow was also confined by space. Night Sorrow didn't hesitate to use spatial ren to cut open the spatial shackles. Then, with a flash, he fled. "Young man, don't be impatient." A booming voice rang out. "Senior." Hearing this voice, Night Sorrow, who had already run thousands of feet away, gave up the idea of running away. He turned around and greeted. The giant blood-red tortoise was still behind him, and the distance between them was still the same. Furthermore, he could feel that the giant tortoise had no intention of continuing its attack. This was also the main reason why he did not run. "It was your qi and blood that caused me to wake up from my long slumber. I came out to see you because I hope that you know when to stop and don't disturb the sleep of my Xian turtle clan. You stimulated your qi and blood power to run, which made my clansmen unable to cultivate." The rumbling voice rang out again. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. I just wanted to get some resources," Night Sorrow said. "I understand, that's why I gave you the resources you needed just now. Please don't run in this area anymore," the giant blood-colored spirit turtle said. "Thank you for your understanding, and thank you for your generosity." Night Sorrow bowed and cupped his hands. "Go." The gigantic blood-colored spirit turtle's body descended, directly crushing the incomparably hard ice surface before diving into the ice-plain sea. Night Sorrow waved at Tianyu as he watched the water of the ice-filled sea surge violently before being frozen by the cold air. Then, he climbed onto Tianyu's back and flew out of the eastern ice field. Night Sorrow was glad that the blood spirit turtle king had a good temperament. If she had a violent temperament, why would she talk nonsense with him? Night Sorrow could break through the spatial shackles, but how many times could he break through? Night Sorrow sensed that the blood spirit turtle monarch space bind was much stronger than the space bind of the supremacies he had encountered before. Letting out a breath, Night Sorrow sat cross-legged on Tianyu's back and began to organize his harvest. He had gotten more than 20 Xian turtle crystals, and even more blood spirit turtle crystals, 25 or 26 of them. The biggest source was the last batch that the blood spirit turtle king had brought out, and there were 17 of them. "Love go little say." Night Sorrow turned around and bowed towards the direction where the blood spirit turtle king had appeared. He let out a long howl and rushed towards Thunder Rolling Mountain. Sitting on Tianyu's back, Night Sorrow began to cultivate. His cultivation of the myriad Tao tome had reached the peak of the consolidation realm, and he could break through at any time. Night Sorrow planned to leave the eastern ice field and find a place to break through. Tianyu's current speed could not be compared to before. Even if he did not use void travel, he could still cover a large distance with a flap of his wings. The resistance of space and wind was very small for Tianyu, because he had both attributes. Only unspecified currency A proper S hashtag version M, his H asterisk are all and pirated versions. Silver Fox lay down next to Night Sorrow and slept. It was cultivating when it slept, and the spiritual energy of heaven and earth gathered towards it. After 2 days, Night Sorrow left the eastern ice field and entered the deep wilderness. After finding a safe place and letting Tianyu and Silver Fox be on guard, Night Sorrow began to break through the myriad Tao Tome. If he did not break through, he would not be able to improve his cultivation. Night Sorrow did not want to waste time. Time was life. The cultivation of a cultivator was to go against the heavens and fight for their lives. Every cultivator's lifespan was limited. Love go go shao shua 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 w, ai chu x. Siom the essence gathering realm had a lifespan of around 130 years. The core condensation realm had a lifespan of around 200 years. The severed divinity realm had a lifespan of 300 years. The void inquiry stage had a lifespan of 500 years. The 6th grade vast heaven realm had a lifespan of 800 years. Of course, this was referring to ordinary cultivators. If their bodies were strong and their qi and blood were vigorous, their lifespan would be longer. In addition, demonic beasts would also exceed this range. It was normal for demonic beasts with extraordinary innate talent to live for several thousand years. If their cultivation base was high, their lifespan would be even longer. After calming down, Night Sorrow began to break through. He wanted to strengthen the heart, the last part of his internal organs. This stage was nothing much because the consolidation realm was just a buffer stage in the myriad Tao Tome. After spending a night, Night Sorrow completed the strengthening of his entire body. The strengthening of his internal organs was also the last part of the strengthening stage. After completing the advancement, Night Sorrow began to stabilize his cultivation base. At this moment, he felt that his entire body was filled with strength. His body was filled with surging energy. After stabilizing his cultivation base for a while, Night Sorrow stopped cultivating and called for Tianyu. Together with Tianyu, he landed on Tianyu's back. Night Sorrow wanted to stabilize his cultivation base as he traveled. At the same time, he would cultivate his true qi and soul power. As for the innate talent of his bloodline, Night Sorrow was currently letting it strengthen on its own. If he used too many external resources, it would be the same as a true qi cultivator who used too many resources. The degree of control over his energy would be low. While flying and cultivating, Night Sorrow arrived at the Thunder Rumbling City very quickly. Because flying demonic beasts were prohibited in the Thunder Rumbling City, Night Sorrow sat on a beast carriage and arrived at the teleportation formation. Night Sorrow was wearing the Heaven's Fate mask, so the guards of the Thunder Rumbling sect didn't question him. After paying the spirit stones, Night Sorrow directly teleported to the Nebula sect. After exiting the Nebula sect's teleportation formation, Night Sorrow rode on Tianyu and flew towards Broken Cloud Mountain. At this moment, the defensive line of Broken Cloud Mountain was peaceful. Wu Lingfei stood in front of the defensive line and looked at the spatial passage of the Domain C. My lord, the situation is very stable now. However, we don't know when the second wave of attacks will erupt. It's still a headache. Lei Hua, who was standing behind Wu Lingfei, said. That's right, Lord Wu Quebec. If we don't deal with this disgusting spatial passageway, the danger will always exist. It's not a good idea for us to keep guarding it. Lan Yushuan spoke. During this period of time, she hadn't left the eastern Xian region because of some matters. Don't worry. This problem will be resolved in a few days. There's nothing to worry about. Wu Lingfei said. Lord Wu Kei, can it be resolved just like that? Ho Yuan asked in surprise. It can be resolved. Night Sorrow is on his way back. Once he's back, I'll enter the spatial passage with him and kill all the high-level dark creatures inside. The danger will naturally be resolved. Wu Lingfei closed her eyes and thought for a moment before speaking. The others didn't ask further. If Wu Lingfei said that there was a way, then there was definitely a way. Furthermore, if Wu Lingfei didn't want to talk about it, then there was no point in asking. Night Sorrow flew rapidly. Silver Fox was still cultivating by his feet. It was already at the 3rd rank of the 4th rank, so its cultivation was increasing very quickly. In the evening, Night Sorrow returned to the encampment of Broken Cloud Mountain. Seeing Night Sorrow return, Ho Jian and the others, as well as the Bloodstrike guards, let out a few angry roars. They weren't used to Night Sorrow not being around. Later. Brothers, let's drink together. Night Sorrow waved to Ho Jian and the others before returning to the tent. Did it go smoothly? Yang Lei, who followed Night Sorrow into the tent, asked. I got all the resources. It went very smoothly. However, I encountered a huge monster, but it didn't make things difficult for me. Night Sorrow said. Chapter 465. A Genius Remembers Love in 1 Second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. It's the Blood Spirit Turtle King. It has a good temper. If it wants to kill me, then I won't be able to resist at all, and can only activate the Void Dao Stone orb you gave me, Aunt Fei. Night Sorrow explained the situation of meeting the Blood Spirit Turtle King in detail. If it has a horn, then it must be the Blood Spirit Turtle King with the bloodline of the Dragon Turtle. If it can tolerate you, then it must have achieved a lot in terms of mental cultivation, Wu Lingfei said. Auntie Fei, it can speak and use spatial imprisonment. It's clearly a venerable realm demonic beast. Why didn't it choose to transform? Sikong Chuyu asked in confusion. Different choices. Some demonic beasts want to enter the world, so they need to transform. Some choose to live in seclusion, so they don't care about these things, Wu Lingfei explained. Translator, Atlas Studios Editor, Atlas Studios, 13, you sure are lucky to have encountered such a terrifying honorable realm demonic beast. Not only was there no danger, it even gave you resources. There's nothing much to say about that, Yang Lei said as she looked at Night Sorrow. I don't know why, but it really scared me. Thinking back to the scene, Night Sorrow still felt a little scared. Heaven is vigorous, and a gentleman will constantly strive to improve himself. This refers to one's own efforts. A gentleman is virtuous. Virtuous is the behavior of the Blood Spirit Turtle King. This is very good. After all, killing for no reason goes against the harmony of heaven. Wu Lingfei opened her mouth and said. That's right, Wu Lingfei said. Auntie Fei, did we kill a lot of dark creatures? Night Sorrow asked. That's not the same. We're killing the creatures of darkness for the Eastern Xian region. We'll only receive the blessings of heaven and earth. It has nothing to do with harming Daymeld. Even if we're injured, we'll be harming Daymeld of the space of death. That's not worth our attention. Wu Lingfei explained to Night Sorrow. Then let's continue, Night Sorrow said with a wave of his hand. Wu Lingfei looked at Night Sorrow and said, you killed some. Rest for 2 days and then we'll head out. Depart? Where are we going? Night Sorrow asked Wu Lingfei. Death space. Let's go to the death space and get rid of the threat completely, Wu Lingfei said. Auntie Fei, did you break through? Night Sorrow looked at Wu Lingfei and asked. No, but my clone has already cultivated to the large success stage. After you rest well, take the Void Dao Stone Orb and enter the spatial tunnel. Then, Aunt Fei's clone will go in and start killing. You go in and pack up the resources. Wu Lingfei said. Congratulations, Aunt Fei. Night Sorrow bowed to Wu Lingfei. Hee, but this doppelganger can no longer protect you. After the doppelganger comes out of the Void Dao Stone, the Void Dao Stone will crack. It can probably hide once more, but there is still the Dark Island to deal with. Wu Lingfei said. Auntie Fei, I have 2 spirit artifacts on me. It's enough. Night Sorrow said with a smile. We'll talk about it later. You should rest first. Wu Lingfei left the tent. Now that we've got the resources, we've solved a big problem. At the very least, you don't have to worry about resources for your cultivation before you reach rank 6, Sikong Chuyu said. The mystic tortoise crystal is just right for me at the 5th rank. Its effect is very strong and I can absorb it very quickly. As for after the 6th rank, I don't know if the blood spirit tortoise crystal is suitable for me, but even if there is a mistake, it won't be too far off. Baidu search love go xiao shua www.aichuxs.com, Night Sorrow said. That's good. You should rest for a bit, then follow Auntie Fei to the death space, Sikong Chuyu said as he brewed tea. Okay, actually I'm not tired, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Your body's cultivation has improved again? Yang Lei asked. Yes. Right now, my body's strength is around 40,000 jin. It's still a bit away from 50,000 jin. Night Sorrow stretched his waist, then a cracking sound was heard. Your body's strength can directly crush a rank 4 cultivator. You're a human-shaped vicious beast, Yang Lei said. I'm normal, right? I'm a bit weaker than the average person, Night Sorrow said as he looked at his body. But your body contains the energy of a vicious beast, Sikong Chuyu said. Okay. You're right, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Actually, this is a good thing because your descendants' talent will also be very high in the future. Saying this, Sikong Chuyu's face became flushed red. What do you mean? Night Sorrow put down the teacup in his hand. Inheritance. Why are there so many talents in big families? It's because their ancestors were all accomplished cultivators. The higher their achievements, the stronger their inherited genes. It's like dragons giving birth to dragons and phoenixes giving birth to phoenixes. Do you understand this principle? Sikong Chuyu explained to Night Sorrow again. Does that mean that the higher the parent's achievements, the stronger the child's talent? Night Sorrow looked at Sikong Chuyu and asked. That's for sure. Of course, the final achievement still depends on the individual's efforts, opportunities, and other factors, Sikong Chuyu said. I understand. Then I'll work hard to cultivate and work hard for the future of my children, Night Sorrow said after thinking for a while. Looks like we'll all have to work hard, Yang Lei said. In terms of erudition, Yang Lei wasn't as knowledgeable as Sikong Chuyu. After all, Sikong Chuyu came from a big family and had read a lot of ancient books, so he was more knowledgeable. Night Sorrow then left the tent. Ho Jian, the Bloodstrike guards, and the others had already roasted the game and were waiting for Night Sorrow's group. Night Sorrow took out some wine and distributed it to everyone. Then, they drank and chatted. Ho Jian and the others asked Night Sorrow about the journey. When Night Sorrow mentioned the blood spirit turtle monarch, everyone was shocked and worried for Night Sorrow. After drinking a jar of wine, Sikong Chuyu didn't let Night Sorrow drink anymore. Ho Jian and the others didn't force him either. After drinking to their heart's content, Night Sorrow returned to the tent to rest. Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu didn't let Night Sorrow cultivate. Instead, they made a bed for Night Sorrow and let Night Sorrow rest. Night Sorrow enjoyed this feeling very much. He slept very soundly that night. When he slept well, he woke up early. Night Sorrow woke up early to cultivate his spear arts. Not to mention how much Night Sorrow's cultivation of the myriad Dao treasured cannon had increased, but the increase in his physical strength had also increased the power of his spear arts by a lot. Night Sorrow cultivated while Wu Lingfei watched from the side. After cultivating for a while, Night Sorrow put away his spear and asked Wu Lingfei, Auntie Fei, take a look at my spear arts. Is there anything I need to improve? Very good, very perfect. With your current cultivation, being able to perform the spear arts to this level is already impeccable, Wu Lingfei said with a nod. Because my explosive power isn't enough, the 7-star brilliant moon spear art can only combine 7 spears into one after my cultivation increases, Night Sorrow said. How is your bloodline talent now? Wu Lingfei asked. I've already activated 4 bloodline talents. I'm now activating the 5th, Night Sorrow said after sensing his body. Chapter 466. A Genius Remembers Love in 1 Second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. I haven't been using space crystals recently. I've been cultivating on my own. The main reason is that I don't want to absorb too much external energy and reduce the controllability of my bloodline talent, Night Sorrow said. You're right to think that way. You don't have to worry about that. The space crack of the Night Moon dynasty can only be used by venerables. It requires the energy to cut open space, and it also requires venerables to comprehend the oneness of man and nature. Just treat it as an attack, said Wu Lingfei. I understand, Night Sorrow said. Following this, Night Sorrow and Wu Lingfei went to Wu Lingfei's tent to drink tea. You've improved well in all aspects, especially your soul power. What kind of treasure do you have in your spirit sea that could injure the lightning fire? What can you tell me about it? Wu Lingfei asked after thinking for a moment. There's nothing I can't tell Auntie Fei. The origin of the void fiendish space, which is the void fate pearl, was originally in my dantian. The last time I went to the realm's sea and was attacked by the laws, the void fate pearl entered my divine sea, said Night Sorrow. The nihility source energy has entered your body, which means that it doesn't reject you and can protect your divine sense sea. This means that it has already acknowledged you. As long as you can refine it, that nihility space will become your territory. Love go little say Wu Lingfei said excitedly. I can't control it yet, and I don't know when I'll be able to refine it, Night Sorrow said. What's there to be anxious about? With a treasure on hand, it's never too late to refine it. This is a great opportunity. When you completely refine it, you'll have a world as your foundation. What kind of concept is that? It's really indescribable. Wu Lingfei was very excited. I understand. I'll cherish it. Night Sorrow nodded. You can continue to relax. After that, we will set off. First, we will go to the spatial tunnel of Waterfront City. After we are done here, Auntie Fei will go to the Black Island. You don't need to go there. The main thing is that you can't enter. Wu Lingfei said. Night Sorrow nodded and left Wu Lingfei's tent. After resting for 2 days, Night Sorrow and Wu Lingfei set off. Before they left, they greeted Yang Lei, Sikong Chuyu, and Lei Hua. Without letting anyone else follow, Wu Lingfei brought Night Sorrow directly to the spatial tunnel entrance. Aunt Fei can't go in. After you activate the Golden Phoenix soft armor, use the Void True Chi to create a protective barrier. After you enter, directly activate the Void Dao Stone. Wu Lingfei instructed Night Sorrow. I understand, Night Sorrow said. From the moment you go in until Auntie Fei's clone appears, you will be in the most danger. Wu Lingfei looked at Night Sorrow and said. I'll do my best to defend myself, Night Sorrow said. Good. Take the Void Dao Stone in your hand and go in. Wu Lingfei said to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow nodded. The myriad Dao treasured tomes energy activated the Golden Phoenix soft armor. Then, he activated the True Chi in his dantian, creating a void attribute protective barrier and rushing towards the spatial tunnel. Pressure. A huge pressure rushed towards Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow exerted strength in his feet and rushed into the depths of the spatial tunnel. The protective barrier was deformed from the pressure. Night Sorrow quickly circulated his True Chi, forcefully preventing the protective barrier from being broken. He walked step by step into the spatial tunnel. This was similar to a battle. It wasn't much lighter than a venerable's bind. The energy waves constantly roared towards Night Sorrow, but they were all blocked by the void attribute protective barrier. Love go little say W, Chu after rushing for a while, the space in front of Night Sorrow suddenly opened up. However, Night Sorrow's scalp went numb. Not far in front of him, there were a few dark spirit corpses sitting cross-legged. Behind them, there was a dense group of dark creatures. The moment the dark spirit corpses stood up to attack, Night Sorrow activated the Void Dao Stone Pearl. Following Night Sorrow's activation, the void Dao stone shook and cracks appeared. The energy gathered and Wu Lingfei appeared. It should be said that Wu Lingfei's clone had appeared. After appearing, Wu Lingfei waved her left hand and a protective barrier appeared, covering herself and Night Sorrow. Then, she flew towards the dark spirit corpses to attack. This time, Wu Lingfei was even more ferocious than before. An energy sword appeared in her right hand. Her left hand was frozen while her right hand attacked with the sword. The two dark spirit corpses were killed by Wu Lingfei before they could display any strength. Wu Lingfei wrapped Night Sorrow in her energy. She used her left hand to freeze the two escaping dark spirit corpses and then chased after the other one. After catching up, Wu Lingfei used Ice Seal and Sword Chi Slash to kill them. At this time, the other two dark spirit corpses had already run away. Wu Lingfei did not continue to chase after the venerable dark spirit corpses. Instead, she began to crush the dark creatures. Wu Lingfei killed the dark creatures like harvesting wheat. After using Ice Seal on her left hand, she used her palm to shatter it. Her right hand continuously slashed with Sword Chi Slash. Aunt Fei, let's go deal with the venerables first. Night Sorrow had been wrapped in Wu Lingfei's energy. Seeing the two dark spirit corpses run away, he was a bit anxious. Because killing the dark spirit corpses was the key to solving the problem. When the two dark spirit corpses were frozen, Aunt Fei injected profound jade spirit chi into their bodies. It's not difficult to find them. But these peak rank 5 dark creatures can easily enter the venerable realm. So, we have to kill them first. If they run away, it'll be troublesome to chase after them. Wu Lingfei said as she slaughtered the dark creatures. I understand. My knowledge is low. Night Sorrow said. It's not that your knowledge is low. In a situation where you can't find the dark spirit corpses, killing them first is not wrong. It's just that Aunt Fei has a backup plan. You go kill them too. Let's kill to our heart's content. Wu Lingfei threw Night Sorrow beside her. Night Sorrow waved his reincarnation spear and joined the ranks of the battle. He didn't feel any pressure because the late rank 5 dark creatures were all under Wu Lingfei's attack. One person in the sky, one on the ground. Night Sorrow and Wu Lingfei crushed forward. After an hour, the battle ended. This area was filled with corpses. To the dark creatures, this was equivalent to a battle of destruction. Night Sorrow didn't need to say anything. Wu Lingfei's attack was too strong and too fast. She chose to kill the dark creatures with high cultivation. As long as the dark creatures tried to escape her attack range, she would take care of them first. Some of the dark creatures that ran away were the ones with low cultivation. Wu Lingfei said to Yishan, since we've killed all of them at the 5th step, it'll be impossible for the dark creatures here to reach the Exalt realm in a short period of time. Let's go find the 2 dark spirit corpses that ran away first, then slowly investigate. Number 7 start. Okay. I only came in to cheer for Aunt Fei. I can't do anything else. Night Sorrow said. Chapter 467. Genius 1 second. Remember love go divided by small? I will provide you with wonderful novels to read. Aunt Fei, is there any difference between your avatar and your original body? Is it the same as your thoughts? Night Sorrow asked as he looked at Wu Lingfei's avatar. Yes, this is an avatar nurtured by the power of the soul. Although the flesh and blood on its body is condensed from the energy of the void Dao stone and is slightly different from the original body, its thoughts are the same. I am your Aunt Fei. Wu Lingfei's avatar said. Then I understand. Night Sorrow nodded. He had always been a little worried that this Wu Lingfei's avatar would be emotionless. Let's go chase after those 2 dark spirit corpses. Wu Lingfei said. Aunt Fei, you rest for a while. I'll use my mount. Night Sorrow released Tianyu. That's fine too. After Aunt Fei becomes a venerable, her mount will be released. Wu Lingfei also came to Tianyu's back. Then, under Wu Lingfei's command, Night Sorrow rode Tianyu and chased after one of the dark spirit corpses. Night Sorrow took out the Void Dao stone that contained Wu Lingfei's avatar and looked at it. Aunt Fei, this Void Dao stone is broken. This is indeed an unexpected situation and a miscalculation. If this space is not the same as the Dark Island, then it will be more troublesome. Love goes small say W, Chu, Wu Lingfei said. Aunt Fei, I still have a Void Dao stone here. Take it and use it. Night Sorrow said. You can't use it. Even if it's not the same space, you can wait until Aunt Fei breaks through. You have to keep the Void Dao stone. It's the best medium to condense avatars. It's very important to you. You can't use it to mess around. Wu Lingfei looked at Night Sorrow and said. But the situation over there is very serious. Night Sorrow was a little worried. He was worried that if that guy grew up, he would not be able to control it in the end. Don't worry, it will definitely enter the Sage Realm later than Aunt Fei. At that time, we will be able to take care of it. Wu Lingfei said to Night Sorrow. Then I'm relieved. Night Sorrow nodded. Keep the Void Daoist stone. Once you enter the Sovereign Realm, Aunt Fei will teach you how to cultivate a clone. Wu Lingfei said to Night Sorrow. Thank you, Aunt Fei. Night Sorrow said. Then let's continue forward. That dark spiritual corpse is about 500 kilometers ahead. After killing it, we'll go deal with the other one. Wu Lingfei said to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow steered Tianyu in the direction that Wu Lingfei had pointed out. After advancing for an hour, they weren't far from where Wu Lingfei was. Wu Lingfei stood up and said, You still want to run? Night Sorrow, follow me. After saying that, Wu Lingfei's body flashed and disappeared from Night Sorrow's sight. Night Sorrow wasn't in a hurry. He steered Tianyu in the direction that Wu Lingfei had disappeared. After half a cup of tea's time, Night Sorrow saw Wu Lingfei. Not far from her was the corpse of the dark spiritual corpse. This guy still wants to run? Can he run? Wu Lingfei snorted. Her body flashed and landed on Tianyu's back. Over there. Let's chase in that direction. The guy running there doesn't have a high cultivation, but he should be the strongest. We didn't kill him at first because we didn't want to waste time. Okay, let's chase in that direction. Night Sorrow nodded. After killing it, Aunt Fei will go with you to find resources. We can't come here for nothing. Wu Lingfei said to Night Sorrow. Don't worry about that, Auntie Fei. To tell you the truth, I don't lack cultivation resources right now. The Xian Turtle Crystal and Blood Spirit Turtle Crystal I obtained from this trip to the Sea of Ice Plains are enough for me to reach the 7th Order, let alone the 6th Order, Night Sorrow said to Wu Lingfei. His body has reached the 7th Order? You can? Wu Lingfei looked at Night Sorrow in surprise. I can do it. I've obtained a body tempering technique before. It's recorded in it, Night Sorrow said. That's not bad. The soul and the body are the two most important things for a cultivator. It's good that you have such an opportunity. Wu Lingfei patted Night Sorrow's shoulder. Aunt Fei, do you want to take a look? Night Sorrow looked at Wu Lingfei and asked. He didn't want to cause any misunderstandings between him and Wu Lingfei. He also sincerely hoped that Wu Lingfei could become stronger, because if she was strong, the Eastern Xian region would be strong. Plus update SOJ_previous, no need. Auntie Fei cultivates her body, but we walk on a completely different path. Auntie Fei's profound ice body is strengthened by Jin Qi, but you walk the path of Qi and blood. It's completely different. Wu Lingfei said. Night Sorrow understands. Night Sorrow nodded. Being kind and benevolent is a virtue, but it is also a weakness for cultivators. Now, Auntie Fei will force you once. Swear an oath that you will not casually tell others about the Heavenly Fate Pearl and the body tempering technique. Wu Lingfei looked at Night Sorrow and said. Aunt Fei is not an outsider. Night Sorrow looked at Wu Lingfei and said. Hurry up and swear. These two things will cause a lot of trouble. Revealing them won't do you any good. In the future, other people will appear by your side. You may know a person for a long time, but you don't know their true nature. That's why Auntie Fei has to swear an oath to you. Wu Lingfei told him the reason she wanted Night Sorrow to swear an oath. Looking at Wu Lingfei's serious face, Night Sorrow raised his hand and swore an oath. Auntie Fei is relieved now. You are too naive, and this is a dog-eat-dog world. With an oath, you won't feel guilty if you don't tell anyone next to you. Wu Lingfei said. Thank you, Auntie Fei, for thinking about me. Night Sorrow was very grateful to Wu Lingfei for thinking about him. There are some things that you can't take for granted. Brothers turn against each other, and beauties become enemies. That's why Auntie Fei put a shackle on you. Wu Lingfei said to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow took out a jug of wine and handed it to Wu Lingfei. He took out a jug of wine for himself. Relax. Since we are here, the problem can be solved. This small space's laws are not complete. It only contains a strong death chi. The possibility of producing a saint is too low. Wu Lingfei said. With such a strong death chi, wouldn't it be easier to produce a saint with the death attribute? Night Sorrow asked, puzzled. There aren't many ways to become a saint. One is to obtain source stones, and the other is to obtain saint crystals. Since the laws here are not complete, it is very difficult to obtain source stones, let alone saint crystals. The possibility is even lower, so saints are not so easy to produce, Wu Lingfei said. Saint crystals. Saint crystals are one of the ways to become a saint. Isn't the battle between saints very cruel? Hearing Wu Lingfei's words, Night Sorrow was shocked. That's right. That's why cultivators or monster beasts who become saints generally choose to live in seclusion for fear of being killed, Wu Lingfei said. In other words, cultivators who have just entered the saint realm are just materials in the eyes of powerful saints? Night Sorrow was a little flustered. Chapter 468. Genius remembers love in 1 second/small. We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Then Auntie Fei must hide after entering the saint realm, Night Sorrow said worriedly. Auntie Fei is very happy that you are worried about me, but Auntie Fei has already considered this point. This is also something all cultivators who enter the saint realm need to consider. Auntie Fei does not intend to break through with the water attribute. Instead, I have been studying how to break through with the life attribute. Once I break through with the high attribute, my combat strength will be much stronger. At that time, it will be hard to say who will kill who. Wu Lingfei said. Night Sorrow nodded. He knew the cruelty of the world. Saints no longer needed saint crystals, but the people around them and their descendants may need them. Therefore, killing people for saint crystals was very likely to happen. Don't worry about this. It's hard to say if there are any saints, but if there are, they won't come out. There's no need to worry. Wu Lingfei said. It seems I was thinking too much. Night Sorrow nodded. Yes, how many years has it been? I haven't heard of any saints. There are frequent realm wars, but no saints have been seen. Wu Lingfei said. The two sat on the Tianyu and followed Wu Lingfei's guidance to chase the escaping dark spirit corpse. At this time, in the human cultivator camp of Broken Cloud Mountain, in Night Sorrow's tent, Wu Lingfei's main body, On Lei, and Sikong Chuyu were drinking tea and chatting. Don't worry, most of the dark spirit corpses have been killed. We are now chasing the last one. After killing it, we will explore this space. Wu Lingfei said after taking a sip of tea. I hope it is the same space as the Dark Island Space Channel. That way, Auntie Fei can solve it in one go. Yang Lei said. We need to investigate before we can make a conclusion. Yi Shang has been to the space of the Dark Island. If there is a familiar scene, Yi Shang will recognize it. If there isn't, then it's not a space. But it doesn't matter, it's not a big deal, said Wu Lingfei. Night Sorrow and Wu Lingfei's doppelganger chased after the escaping dark spirit corpses. Along the way, Wu Lingfei's doppelganger would kill any higher-level demonic beasts that showed signs of rising up, not giving them a chance to grow. That escaping dark spirit corpse has been moving all this time, it has never stopped. Not only is this guy strong, but he's also very cunning. He knows that we'll definitely chase after him, so he didn't stop. He's probably looking for a safe place to stay, Wu Lingfei said. As long as Aunt Fei's profound jade spiritual qi is in its body, it will not be able to escape. Night Sorrow said. You can't say that. After all, the death attribute is a high-level attribute. If it is given enough time, it might be able to refine it. But if it keeps running like this, it won't have the chance to refine it. I think it already knows that something is wrong with its body. Auntie Fei's profound jade spirit qi is still shaking. This is a sign that it is resisting and trying to force it out, Wu Lingfei said. Then we have to hurry. Night Sorrow controlled Tianyu to fly faster. Don't worry. If we were in a hurry, Auntie Fei would have already flown over. Wu Lingfei said. Night Sorrow nodded and didn't say anything. He controlled Tianyu to chase in the direction Wu Lingfei had given him. In the evening, the two approached the dark spirit corpse's current location. Okay, you don't have to worry about it. Auntie Fei will take care of it. Wu Lingfei's body flashed and left Tianyu's back, flying towards the area where the dark spirit corpse was hiding. Then the battle began. This dark spirit corpse was quite cunning and strong, but in front of Wu Lingfei's absolute strength, it could only be killed. After killing the dark spirit corpse, Wu Lingfei returned to Tianyu's back. Let's find a place to set up camp. Auntie Fei needs to recover first. The doppelganger consumes a lot of energy, so it can't recover as fast as the main body. This is a flaw. Also, I've been cultivating in the Phantom Dao Stone and didn't bring any resources in. This is a mistake. Then what does Auntie Fei need? Origin Spirit Liquid? Or Life Spirit Liquid? Night Sorrow asked. Then give me 2 drops of Origin Spirit Liquid. Wu Lingfei said. Night Sorrow took out a small bottle of Origin Spirit Liquid and gave it to Wu Lingfei. Auntie Fei doesn't have a storage ring. 2 drops will do. After taking the 2 drops, Wu Lingfei returned the bottle to Night Sorrow and sat on Tianyu's back to recover. Night Sorrow rode Tianyu and found a relatively good place. He made a tent out of beast skin and let Wu Lingfei recover. Then he arranged for Tianyu to hunt. After arranging Tianyu's matters, Night Sorrow entered the tent and meditated in a corner. After a night, Wu Lingfei's doppelganger recovered to its peak state. Following which, the two of them continued their search. This time, they did not ride Heavenly Feather. Instead, they walked on the ground. Only by doing so could they find the materials. As they searched, Wu Lingfei killed a lot of dark creatures. Night Sorrow also collected a lot of alchemy materials and even obtained a piece of extreme origin stone. Wu Lingfei told Night Sorrow that it was a good material for refining spirit tools. This made Night Sorrow quite happy. He was worried that his reincarnation spear would have to be reforged in the future. There was no harm in preparing some materials. You have entered the space of the Dark Island. If there is a familiar scene, you can tell Auntie Fei. This way, we can be sure if the two are in the same space. Wu Lingfei said to Night Sorrow. Auntie Fei, it's not the same space. Night Sorrow sighed and said. Look at the original and chapter V2. Are you sure? Wu Lingfei asked. Yes, the energy is death energy, but the aura is different. The death energy here gives me the feeling that it's drifting and makes me uncomfortable. The death energy in that space is very oppressive, and the energy is somewhat violent. Night Sorrow explained his feeling, which was also the reason why he determined that there were 2 different spaces. Then it's not the same space. But it's a bit strange. The 2 places are not far from each other and both have death energy, but they are not in the same space. What's going on? Wu Lingfei couldn't understand. Could it be that they are in the same space but separated? Or is there some other reason that caused this situation? Night Sorrow asked. It's possible, but it doesn't matter. Let's continue searching. But don't hold too much hope for good resources. There are dark spirit corpses full of intelligence here. They will also collect and use natural treasures. Wu Lingfei said. It's about time. Let's go. Night Sorrow said. There's no hurry. Although there are fewer resources because of the dark spirit corpses, it doesn't mean that there won't be any. Some things rely on luck and opportunity. The dark spirit corpses can't get it, but it doesn't mean that we can't. Wu Lingfei said. Then let's continue and try our luck. Night Sorrow nodded. Chapter 469. Genius 1 second. Remember love go/small? I'll provide you with some interesting novels to read. Night Sorrow and Wu Lingfei advanced in the dark space for more than 10 days, but the results were mediocre. They collected some alchemy materials and blacksmithing materials. They even reached the edge of the death space, but they didn't find much. The edge of the death space was filled with mist. Wu Lingfei's avatar looked at the spatial turbulence and said, "This is the most terrifying spatial turbulence. It contains powerful law attacks. Let alone sovereigns, even saints would be unlucky if they were caught in it. Unless they have a special protective technique, your Night Moon Dynasty's spatial fissure has this ability." Night Sorrow said, "This is the spatial barrier. Let's look in another direction." Wu Lingfei's avatar nodded. Night Sorrow and Wu Lingfei's avatar began to explore the space. They had to collect any resources they found. The two searched the death space for nearly a month. They killed any dark creatures they encountered and collected any resources they found. Although they didn't find any heaven-defying treasures, they collected some alchemy materials and ores. Their biggest gain was a small ore vein. They dug out 100 top-grade spirit stones, 300 to 400 high-grade spirit stones, and some mid-grade spirit stones. Top J. Wu Lingfei said to Night Sorrow, "This space is just like this. There's no point in continuing to search. We can go out and seal the spatial passage. Then, this disaster will be solved." Night Sorrow nodded. He knew that there weren't many resources in this space. It was almost impossible for the dark creatures to rise again. After a few days, the two returned to the spatial passage. At the spatial passage, Wu Lingfei asked Night Sorrow for some spirit stones and set up a large formation to hide the spatial passage. Night Sorrow asked, "Auntie Fei is also a formation master?" "I've dabbled a bit. When you cultivate your spiritual strength, you choose sculpting and alchemy. As for Aunt Fei, I've taken the path of studying array formations. I can be considered to have some small accomplishments." As she spoke, Wu Lingfei continued to lay down the array formation. Night Sorrow didn't understand and could only watch from the side. There's a killing formation in the illusion formation. As long as it's not a venerable accidentally bumping into it, any dark creature below the venerable level won't be able to break it. They'll be killed as soon as they enter the formation. "We can go back now." Wu Lingfei clapped her hands and said after she finished setting up the formation. Baidu search AI Go female sign Xiao say www.aichuxs. Calm with the phantom Dao stone shattered, Wu Lingfei's energy clone couldn't return. Night Sorrow activated a void-type protective barrier, wrapped Wu Lingfei's energy clone, and rushed towards the spatial tunnel. With Wu Lingfei in tow, Night Sorrow's protective barrier was a bit weaker. Fortunately, he was still able to hold on. After a moment, he rushed into the spatial channel. After exiting the spatial tunnel, Night Sorrow saw Wu Lingfei's true body standing not far away. At this moment, Wu Lingfei's doppelganger, who was standing beside Night Sorrow, flashed towards Wu Lingfei's main body and merged into one. Then Wu Lingfei took out spirit stones to set up another formation. Setting up formations on both sides was relatively safer. AI Go Xiao say W, Chu not bad. Let's go back. After setting up the formation, Wu Lingfei waved her arm and wrapped Night Sorrow around her, and they began to fly. It's a bit different. Facing Auntie Faye now, it seems more real. Night Sorrow said. That doppelganger's body was nourished by the phantom Tao stone. There are still some differences. Wu Lingfei said. Soon, the two returned to the defensive line of Broken Cloud Mountain. Seeing Night Sorrow return, Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu were very happy. Auntie Faye, these are the top-grade crystals we dug up this time. Night Sorrow took out all the top-grade crystals and gave them to Wu Lingfei. All right. Then Auntie Faye won't be polite with you. Get ready and leave. You've been exhausted during this period of time. Go back to Dongxian City and have a good rest, Wu Lingfei said to Night Sorrow and the two girls. We don't need to go to the Dark Island? Night Sorrow asked. No need. The Blood Strike guards are guarding the entrance and killing the small fries. My doppelganger can stand guard there. There's no need for everyone to worry, Wu Lingfei said. That's good. Pack up and we'll set off, Night Sorrow said. Then Wu Lingfei called for a meeting with all the higher-ups of the Eastern Xian region to make arrangements. In fact, before the meeting, her doppelganger had already left for the Dark Island. Night Sorrow told Ho Jian and the others, as well as the members of the Blood Strike Guards, and started to pack up and prepare to leave. After letting Ho Jian and the others, who planned to go to Dongxian City with him, say goodbye to the sect, Night Sorrow went to the Medicine Valley. He didn't plan to return to the Medicine Valley, so he had to greet the Great Elder, Gong Xian, and the other senior brothers. At the Medicine Valley's campsite, Night Sorrow saw the higher-ups of the Nebula sect. They thanked the Medicine Valley for coming to help regardless of the past. At the same time, they expressed their attitude. If the Medicine Valley needed help in the future, the Nebula sect wouldn't refuse. The Great Elder and the others also agreed. Currently, the Medicine Valley was at the peak of its power. Or rather, the Medicine Valley's venerables were relatively weak, but they could still develop. The most important thing was that the Medicine Valley had a strong network of connections. Its soft power was ferocious, and its allies were the Southern Dipper sect and the Thunder Rumbling sect. In addition, it was inextricably linked to the City Lord's mansion. Almost all the businesses of the Golden Flame sect in Dongxian City had been taken over by the Medicine Valley. As long as one wasn't a fool, one would know what would happen in the future. When they saw Night Sorrow, the people of the Nebula sect greeted him. Night Sorrow cupped his hands in return. Then, Night Sorrow told the Great Elder, Gong Xian, and his senior brothers about his decision. Okay, go back when you have time. It's also convenient to have a teleportation formation. In addition, take what I told you last time to heart. If you have time, go back and fight for it, the Great Elder said to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow nodded. He knew that the Great Elder was talking about the 8-Dragon Cauldron. He wasn't stingy with the Medicine Valley. Similarly, the Medicine Valley also fully supported Night Sorrow's rise. At present, Night Sorrow was the face of the Medicine Valley. The rise of Night Sorrow was equivalent to the rise of the Medicine Valley. If Night Sorrow didn't fall, it meant that the Medicine Valley wouldn't fall. This was because the current network of connections in the Medicine Valley was almost all built up by Night Sorrow. After greeting them, Night Sorrow returned to his team. At this time, the Tianji Tower team and the Blood-Robed Guards team had finished packing up. After Night Sorrow returned, the upper echelons of the Eastern Xian region also arrived at the front of all the teams. Then, Elder Dai Tianxiang of the City Lord's Manor announced a decision. The representatives of the major sects were summoned to the City Lord's Manor to discuss the issue of the Scarlet Cloud sect's takeover of Dongxian City. The City Lord's Manor's decision meant that the Scarlet Cloud sect's influence in Dongxian City was to be eliminated. This was Wu Lingfei's order. There was no need to nurture a force that couldn't fight for the Eastern Xian region. It was a complete waste of resources. It was better to eliminate it directly and nurture other forces. Chapter 470. A Genius Remembers Love in 1 Second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. I'm sure everyone knows the reason. No one will fuss over the small details, but we can't be careless. As a citizen of the Eastern Xian domain, the interests of the Eastern Xian domain must be our top priority. No one cares about how you fight normally, but if you dare to play tricks when the Eastern Xian domain is in danger, then I'm sorry. Dai Tianxiang stated the reason for banning the Scarlet Cloud sect. Not satisfied? If the Scarlet Cloud sect didn't agree, then they would be obliterated. The Dongxian city's city lord manor wouldn't interfere under normal circumstances. The development of the sects and clans in the region was left to their own devices, but they couldn't be without principles. If one wanted to develop in the Eastern Xian domain, they could fight for territory and resources, but they couldn't be without a bottom line. If they couldn't contribute to the Eastern Xian domain, then the city lord manor wouldn't tolerate it. I hope you can take this as a warning. There's one more thing. The Starcloud sect has been under our protection for 20 years. In these 20 years, you're not allowed to infringe on their interests. You've all seen the reason. They've been fighting all this time. Even though their disciples have suffered heavy losses, the Starcloud sect didn't retreat. In addition, the Starcloud sect has to be disciplined. If you step out of line, then this protection order will be removed. Yes, sir. The Starcloud sect's people bowed. Withdraw. After giving another order, Wu Lingfei's body flickered a few times and she left Broken Cloud Mountain. Night Sorrow then turned around and said, "Release the mounts. Let's go." The mounts of the Blood Strike Guards were slightly inferior, so they were slower. It took them more than half a day to arrive at the Starcloud city. The Starcloud sect was generous. They didn't ask for any spiritual stones and let them teleport for free. After teleporting to Dongxian City and exiting the teleportation portal, Yishan shouted, "Go back and wait for the servants to cook. That's a bit slow. Everyone, move out now. Go buy some dishes. Bring more meat." Following Night Sorrow's shout, the group scattered like birds and beasts, doing what they were supposed to do. Haha. This group of people is too interesting. Not bad, they're all true to themselves, Yang Lei said with a smile. Let's go back to the mansion. When they come back, we can eat and drink to our heart's content. Night Sorrow steered Tianyu back to the mansion. The Blood Strike Guards and the Tianji Tower team quickly gathered at Night Sorrow's mansion. They set up a table in the garden and started drinking. This banquet lasted for 4 hours. After the group of people had truly enjoyed themselves to the fullest, they dispersed. Back in the living room, Night Sorrow took a sip of the tea brewed by Sikong Chuyu. This time, they can finally stop. Who knows? The world is ever-changing. It's better to cultivate and improve your strength, Sikong Chuyu said. Night Sorrow nodded, knowing that strength was the foundation of everything. However, 13, you don't have to feel pressured. Just let nature take its course. Cultivation isn't something that can be achieved overnight, Yang Lei said. Night Sorrow stood up and said, "All right, I'll go see some Auntie Fei. Since we're back, we should at least say hello." However, Night Sorrow didn't see Wu Lingfei in the observation tower. Soon after, Night Sorrow returned to the main building. "Why are you back so soon?" Sikong Chuyu asked. "I didn't see her. Maybe she didn't come back because she was handling some matters." Night Sorrow said. "There are so many things to do now. She has to make arrangements for Tianji Tower and the City Lord's mansion. She'll be very busy," Sikong Chuyu said. "She'll probably be back a little later. It's getting late. You two should enjoy some alone time." Yang Lei smiled and left the main building. Night Sorrow turned to look at Sikong Chuyu. After hearing Yang Lei's words and noticing Night Sorrow's gaze, Sikong Chuyu blushed. "How can you look at people like that? Everything is in your eyes. Then let's go rest," Night Sorrow said as he held Sikong Chuyu's hand. Sikong Chuyu nodded slightly. Then, the two of them went to Night Sorrow's bedroom. "Chuyu, how's your cultivation going?" Night Sorrow asked after sitting down on the bed. "It should be fine. But I don't know until I try, Sikong Chuyu said softly. Most Zin, Chapter H, Section C, then I'll cooperate fully. Night Sorrow said as he took off his outer robe. How should I say this? If both of us benefit, at the very least, we won't be hurt. We really have to cooperate, Sikong Chuyu whispered in Night Sorrow's ear. Okay, I'll listen to you later, Night Sorrow said as he hugged Sikong Chuyu. Then, there was the sound of clothes falling to the ground. Amidst the hugs and kisses, and Sikong Chuyu's soft moans, Night Sorrow invaded Sikong Chuyu's delicate body. Slow down. Sikong Chuyu reached out and knocked Night Sorrow's leg. Okay. Night Sorrow nodded. He knew that after not being together for a long time, Sikong Chuyu's body was not used to it. After burning passionately for a while, Sikong Chuyu hugged Night Sorrow and whispered something in Night Sorrow's ear. Then, Night Sorrow cooperated with Sikong Chuyu and the two of them began to cultivate the harmonization technique. Night Sorrow was not used to doing other things while exercising. He was a little distracted. In the end, Sikong Chuyu pinched his ear and reminded him to get into the zone. They cultivated for half the night. After bathing, Sikong Chuyu asked Night Sorrow, "How is it?" "Very good. It's good that I can be intimate with you and cultivate. I don't feel tired at all even though I've been busy for half the night," Night Sorrow said. As for me, my cultivation has improved significantly, Sikong Chuyu said softly. That's good. You should rest. I'm going to cultivate. Night Sorrow looked at Sikong Chuyu and said. One night won't make a difference. Stay with me. Sikong Chuyu said as he held Night Sorrow's hand. Night Sorrow nodded and hugged Sikong Chuyu to rest. Over the next 2 days, Night Sorrow, Yang Lei, and Sikong Chuyu all cultivated the harmonization technique. The technique had little effect on Night Sorrow, but it was very helpful to the two girls. This was because Night Sorrow's blood qi was surging and he was full of yang qi. After refining the yang qi that naturally flowed out of Night Sorrow's body, the two girls benefited a lot. When not cultivating, Night Sorrow would play with Tianyu and Silver Fox or watch the Blood Strike Guard brothers cultivate. After 2 days of peace, Wu Lingfei returned with Lan Yuxuan. Aunt Fei, Lord Supervisor is here. Have a seat. Night Sorrow, who was cultivating the spear, put away his reincarnation spear and greeted them. You've worked hard, Lan Yuxuan said with a smile. It's a chaotic world now. It's always good to have more strength, Night Sorrow said as he wiped the sweat off his forehead. That's a good idea. Do you have any plans recently? Wu Lingfei asked Night Sorrow. Not really. What's wrong, Aunt Fei? Do you need help at the Island of Darkness? Night Sorrow asked. Chapter 471. A Genius Remembers Love in 1 Second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. But right now, the Eastern Xian region is in troubled times. I don't want to leave, Night Sorrow said after thinking for a moment. It should be safe, at least for a while, Wu Lingfei said. I haven't made any plans for this yet, nor have I prepared anything. Night Sorrow was a little hesitant. There's nothing to prepare. You're just going to meet the people at Tianji Tower's headquarters, then come back. You don't have to worry about anything else, Wu Lingfei said. All right, I'll go, Night Sorrow said. Take them as a tour. Wu Lingfei pointed at Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu. All right, then Supervisor Lan, when are we leaving? Night Sorrow looked at Lan Yuxuan and asked. It's up to you guys. I can do it anytime, Lan Yuxuan said. Then let's do it tomorrow. Yishang said. All right. Come find me at Tianji Tower tomorrow. Lan Yuxuan nodded. She was here for Night Sorrow this time. Once she brought Night Sorrow to the headquarters, her mission would be considered complete. Lan Yuxuan left, but Wu Lingfei didn't. I'm going to the Tianji Tower headquarters. Will they arrange something for me? I don't have time to worry about anything right now. Love go little say Night Sorrow said. This was also the reason why he hesitated. It's fine. Just say that it's my idea to return to the eastern Xian region, said Wu Lingfei. That's good. Night Sorrow hated trouble. After resting for a night, he greeted Hou Jian, Xue Ling, and the others. He bowed to the attic where Wu Lingfei was resting. Night Sorrow put on his mask and left the mansion with Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu. He rode his Tianyu to Tianji Tower. In the lobby of Tianji Tower, Night Sorrow saw Lan Yuxuan waiting for them. Then let's go. Lan Yuxuan, who was also wearing a mask, waved at Night Sorrow. After leaving Tianji Tower, Night Sorrow and the other two released their mounts. You all have mounts. I released mine a long time ago, Lan Yuxuan said when she saw Night Sorrow and the other two's mounts. Supervisor Lan, you can ride with me. Yang Lei said to Lan Yuxuan. Lan Yuxuan nodded. She used to fly when she went out. A supremacy's flight was much faster than a flying beast. However, she wanted to ride with Night Sorrow and the other two now. After the four of them arrived at the teleportation array, Lan Yuxuan handed over the spirit stones and said, to Linhai City. When they arrived at Linhai City, Lan Yuxuan handed over the spirit stones without exiting the teleportation array. Taiyue region's East Smoke City. In the 9-domain world, the Qingtian region occupied the most central position. If one wanted to go to the Qingtian region from the eastern Xian region, they had to pass through the Taiyue region. The Taiyue region's East Smoke City was located in the same location as the eastern Xian region's Linhai City. This time, the teleportation took a longer time. It took the four of them 5 minutes to complete the teleportation. Continue to teleport to Dongshang City. Lan Yuxuan handed over the spirit stones again. After exiting Dongshang City's teleportation array, Lan Yuxuan said, it must be tiring to take the teleportation array continuously, right? Let's go to the Tianji Tower's branch to rest for a while. I'll go check on them and see if they've done what I asked them to do. We'll continue our journey tomorrow. Night Sorrow nodded. Of course, he would listen to Lan Yuxuan's opinion now. After checking into the guest room arranged by Dongshang City's Tianji Tower, Sikong Chuyu brewed a pot of tea. We'll be flying tomorrow. I wonder why Dongshang City doesn't open the teleportation array to Taiyue City. Sikong Chuyu asked. Due to the severe depletion of the teleportation crystals, it will only be opened during times of war or under special circumstances, Lan Yuxuan said after entering the room. It's nothing. We have mounts. We can just fly slowly, Night Sorrow said. Then you guys should rest early. We'll set off tomorrow morning, Lan Yuxuan said to them. After Lan Yuxuan left, Night Sorrow and the other two chatted casually. It'll probably take some time to reach Qingtian City, Night Sorrow said as he stood in front of the window and looked at Dongshang City. Our trip will probably take about a month, Sikong Chuyu said. I thought we'd be able to teleport there if we kept taking the teleportation array. Night Sorrow said. The teleportation array is limited. Also, due to strategic reasons, many teleportation arrays aren't usually opened. They'll only be opened during special times and under orders from the royal city, Sikong Chuyu said to Night Sorrow. I understand. Chuyu, it's best that you don't expose your fire phoenix. Tomorrow, you'll take the Tianyu with me. Ninth senior sister, you'll monitor with Lan Yuxuan, Night Sorrow said. Alright, that's settled then. Yang Lei said. She knew that Sikong Chuyu's whereabouts were still quite sensitive. It would be troublesome if they were discovered. Although they weren't afraid now, it was better to have one more problem than one less. Sikong Chuyu and Yang Lei didn't leave Night Sorrow's room either. They meditated and cultivated in the room. After dawn, the four of them set off. According to Night Sorrow's arrangement, 2 flying demonic beasts carried the four of them. The dark-feathered eagle and Tianyu were of the same level, but there was a big difference in speed. Night Sorrow had to let Tianyu control its speed. They traveled during the day and rested at night. The following days were very peaceful. After half a month, the the group arrived at the royal city of Taiyue region. When they arrived at Taiyue City, Lan Yuxuan wanted to bring the three of them to the Tianji Tower branch to rest. However, Night Sorrow wanted them to rest in an inn. That way, they would be more comfortable. Lan Yuxuan nodded and stayed in the inn with the three of them. During the journey, Night Sorrow didn't stop cultivating. His true qi and cultivation of the myriad Daos tome had improved. The improvement of his soul power and bloodline talent was also very smooth. Taiyue region is also a relatively backward region. In the last region war, many supremacies were killed by Lord Wu Quebec. The Taiyue city's city lord also went missing after that battle. The situation might not be optimistic, Lan Yuxuan said. I heard about this from Aunt Fei. Night Sorrow nodded. This is the difference. Back then, Qingtian region joined forces with Taiyue region to take down Eastern Xian region. In the end, they suffered heavy losses. Qingtian region recovered quickly, but Taiyue region was almost annihilated, Lan Yuxuan said. Aunt Fei has recovered. They don't know what's going on, Night Sorrow said. I'm not sure about that. However, even if they were given the guts, they wouldn't dare to attack the Eastern Xian region again. Although the Eastern Xian region doesn't have many venerables and the cultivation level of their cultivators is somewhat low, Master Wu Kei is an insurmountable mountain. Lan Yuxuan said with a smile. Aunt Fei's existence is an important factor for the stability of Eastern Xian region. Without Aunt Fei's suppression, the other regions wouldn't be so obedient. Night Sorrow sighed. Look at the chapter BJI of the C edition. Chapter 472. Genius 1 second. Remember love go/little. We provide you with wonderful novels to read. So there's such a thing. Night Sorrow sighed. Yes. In the past, Wu Kei Lord didn't stay in the Eastern Xian region. She often traveled to the 9 regions and 18 prefectures. She was our Tianji Tower's Heaven's Terminus envoy, chief supervisor, and vice Kei Lord. Later, when the old Kei Lord was about to die, he had to choose between Wu Kei Lord and the current chief Kei Lord to take over the position. However, at that time, the Qingtian region and Taiyue region started a war with the Eastern Xian region. Lan Yuxuan explained in detail. After the war broke out, Wu Lingfei returned to the Eastern Xian region and led people to fight the people of the Qingtian region and Taiyue region. The battlefield was outside the Eastern Xian region's waterfront city. After Wu Lingfei killed many venerables, she fought with the Qingtian city lord and Taiyue city lord until both sides suffered heavy losses. Night Sorrow knew what happened next. I see. Then Supervisor Lan, I want to ask, in each region, is the King city lord the most powerful person? Night Sorrow asked. No, the situation is different in each region. The region lord is the true ruler. At present, only the southerly region has a region lord. The other 8 regions shouldn't have any region lords, or maybe it hasn't been announced. Lan Yuxuan thought for a moment and said. Why do some have it and some don't? Night Sorrow didn't understand. This involves a big problem. Let's put it this way. Our 9 regions world was broken into 9 regions and 18 prefectures after the ancient investiture of the gods. The world's origin was also broken into 9 pieces. Each region has a broken origin. Only by refining the origin can one become a region lord. Do you understand what this means? Lan Yuxuan said to Night Sorrow. If that's the case, then I understand. Yi Sheng nodded. The city lord of the 9 kings city isn't necessarily a region lord, but a region lord is likely to be a city lord. This is probably the case. Lan Yuxuan said. If he has refined the origin source, then he must be very powerful. Isn't the Southly region the strongest of the 9 regions? Yang Lei asked in shock. Not necessarily. The domain lord of the Southly region appeared 200 years ago. At that time, he was still a nameless 3rd-rank cultivator. Later on, he went into seclusion. No one knows what his current situation is. Of course, with this factor, no one would dare to provoke the South Lee region. Even if it's a broken source stone, it's still extraordinary. It's not in source stone, but a part of the 9-domain world's broken source bead, Lan Yuxuan said. This is a potential for development. With this deterrence, no one would dare to act recklessly. Sikong Chuyu opened her mouth and said. That's right, Sikong Chuyu said. Yes, that's it. Let's not talk about this. You guys should rest early. Tomorrow, we'll take the teleportation array and leave. However, there is still an area in between that we need to fly, Lan Yuxuan said to Night Sorrow and the others. Why aren't some teleportation arrays open? Night Sorrow felt helpless. He felt that it would be much easier to just teleport there directly. They are afraid of a domain war breaking out. The other party will snatch the teleportation array and rush to the core area to attack, so they need a buffer zone, Lan Yuxuan said. Can't our Eastern Xian region directly teleport to Waterfront City? They just lack magnanimity. Night Sorrow snorted. He was very dissatisfied with the current situation. That's because the Wu Kei Lord is domineering. Basically, no one will go and cause trouble. The other regions can't do the same. A domain war can break out at any time, so everyone has to be on guard, Lan Yuxuan said with a smile. After resting for a night, the four of them took the teleportation array to Taiyue region's West Liang City. Then, the four of them continued to fly to Taiyue region's West Sea City. That was the waterfront city of Taiyue region. It was also where the teleportation array to Qingtian region was located. It took 6 days for the four of them to reach West Sea City. After crossing the domain sea, we will reach Qingtian region, Lan Yuxuan said to Night Sorrow and the others. But to reach the core area of Qingtian region, we still have to fly for a while, Sikong Chuyu said. I'm already used to it. In the past, it took me a few months to travel to the Far East icefield. After experiencing so much, my tolerance has increased, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Sitting in the teleportation array, the four of them arrived at Qingtian region's East Hua City. Alright, let's rest for a night. Tomorrow, we will continue our long journey, Lan Yuxuan said to the four of them. If Lan Yuxuan traveled by herself, the time would be much shorter. After all, the flying speed of a venerable was several times that of a rank 5 flying demonic beast. She had to accommodate Night Sorrow and the others since she was carrying Night Sorrow and the others. The four of them checked into an inn. Be careful. Jiyu clan's forces are everywhere in Qingtian region. We will be discovered if we're not careful. Sikong Chuyu said to Night Sorrow. Then, where is the territory of your clan? Night Sorrow asked. It's in the north of Beiling City, Sikong Chuyu said. Do you plan to go home this time? Night Sorrow hesitated for a while and asked. I think I'd better not. It's too troublesome. Sikong Chuyu shook his head. Up to 3. I think so too. Night Sorrow, you are now at the 4th level of the Void Inquiry stage. If you work hard and advance to the Venerable Realm, there won't be any problems. Lan Yuxuan looked at Night Sorrow and said. She knew about the matter between Night Sorrow and Sikong Chuyu. Then, I'll have to trouble you for a while more. When I improve my strength, it will be once and for all. The problem will be solved once and for all. Night Sorrow clenched his fists and said. After chatting for a while, Lan Yuxuan went to another room to rest. Chuyu, now that we've returned to Qingtian region, do you have anything else to do? Night Sorrow asked. I want to visit my grandfather. I don't want him to worry. Sikong Chuyu thought for a while and said. After we're done with our business, we'll make a trip there. Night Sorrow nodded. When we see my grandfather, we'll ask him to bring the news to my parents. Then, my parents won't be worried, Sikong Chuyu said. All right. We don't have anything to do at the headquarters of Tianji Tower. We just need to report our arrival and show our faces. After that, we'll head to Cloud Mist Mountain. Night Sorrow could understand Sikong Chuyu's thoughts very well. After resting for a night, the four of them flew towards the core area of Qingtian region. They were going to East Park City to take the teleportation array. That way, they would be able to reach Qingtian City directly. Supervisor Lan, what do I need to do at the headquarters of Qingji Tower? Is it troublesome? Night Sorrow asked. You just need to see the Chief Tower Master, the Elders, and the others. You'll be officially appointed as the Heaven's Fate Envoy. Of course, they might let you stay at the headquarters. It's up to you, Lan Yuxuan said. Supervisor Lan, you know that I'm going back to Eastern Xian region. I can't stay at the headquarters. Night Sorrow shook his head and said. I understand. They're just suggesting. They won't force you. Besides, they'll respect Master Wu Kei's wishes, Lan Yuxuan said. That's good. I don't want to be restrained. It'll be uncomfortable. I want to move forward with my own thoughts. Night Sorrow breathed a sigh of relief. Chapter 473. Genius 1 second. Remember love divided by go divided by little? I will provide you with wonderful novels to read. It seems that Auntie Fei is quite powerful. Love go little say net, Chusikong Chuyu said with a smile. Currently, Lord Wu Kei is still the Deputy Lord of Qingji Tower. Of course, Lord Wu Kei doesn't take this position seriously. Lan Yuxuan nodded. As long as Auntie Fei's intentions are effective, it's fine. Don't be forced to do something beyond your ability, Night Sorrow said with a smile. After resting for a night in Donghua City, Night Sorrow's group of four continued their journey to Dongyuan City. Once they arrived at Dongyuan City, they didn't need to fly anymore. They went directly to Qingtian City through the teleportation array. This time, it took them 5 days to reach East Garden City, and Lan Yuxuan brought the three of them into the city. Lan Yuxuan didn't take them to an inn. Instead, she brought them to a mansion. After instructing the servants not to let them enter the backyard, Lan Yuxuan took off her mask. I used to work in Dongyuan City, so I bought this mansion. I haven't been here for a long time. Sorry to trouble you, Supervisor Lan. Night Sorrow's group cupped their hands at Lan Yuxuan. After you take up the position, I will be your subordinate, so I have to establish a good relationship with you in advance, Lan Yuxuan said with a smile. Supervisor Lan, you must be joking. Night Sorrow shook his head. I'm not joking. The Celestial Emissary is actually the successor to several important positions in Tianji Tower. To put it simply, he is the young lord. Therefore, all the guardians, supervisors, and elders have to listen to his orders, Lan Yuxuan said seriously. Even if I become the Celestial Emissary, Supervisor Lan can just treat me as a decoration. I don't care about this, Night Sorrow said. Let's not talk about this now. You guys have a good rest. Treat this place like your own home. Rest for 2 days and walk around Dongyuan City. We'll set off after that. Lan Yuxuan said to Night Sorrow's group of 3 and left. $7. Forever, ******************************************************** C Night Sorrow and the others didn't reject Lan Yuxuan's good intentions. Moreover, if Lan Yuxuan had other things to do, it would be very awkward if they said that they didn't need to rest. No matter where it is, it's not as comfortable as our Qingxin Cottage and Longquan Courtyard, Sikong Chuyu said. That's our territory. We can do whatever we want. It's the feeling of home. Staying in an inn or someone else's house, no matter how luxurious it is, it doesn't have that comfortable feeling, Yang Lei said with a smile. Soon after, someone brought over food and wine. Baidu search AI go female sign shao say www.aichuxs. After the three of them finished eating, they went out on the street. Since they were already in East Park City, they might as well take a stroll. East Park City was also a first-rate city in the Qingtian region. East Park City was beautiful in the evening. Although it was not as prosperous as Dongxian City, it was still better than Danding City and Thunder City. Night Sorrow brought Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu to a clothing store to buy a few sets of robes. After leaving the clothing store, Night Sorrow and the others strolled casually in front of a small street stall in front of the store. These stall owners were all cultivators. They took out resources that they didn't need to exchange for things that were suitable for them. Many cultivators did this. Night Sorrow used the clear void elixir to exchange for a lot of clear void herbs. 1 cauldron of clear void elixir could be exchanged for 3 cauldrons of ingredients, which was a good deal for Night Sorrow. This was also a good deal for cultivators who couldn't find an alchemy master. It was equivalent to a win-win situation. Night Sorrow then used his spirit stones to buy 2 clear void herbs. Night Sorrow didn't need these herbs, but the people of the Medicine Valley and the members of the Blood Strike Guard did. The 3 of them continued to look ahead. If there were suitable materials, Night Sorrow would sell them. After that, Night Sorrow found a lightning attribute crystal. However, the price was very high. The exchange rate for high-grade spirit stones was 100, while the exchange rate for top-grade spirit stones was 1. This price was very high. One should know that one could buy a house in Dongxian City with 50 high-grade spirit stones. Such a price was also a little inappropriate. The exchange rate for spirit stones was 100. However, 100 high-grade spirit stones was definitely not enough to exchange for a top-grade spirit stone. A top-grade spirit stone was a very rare resource. The top-grade spirit stones in Night Sorrow's possession were also the product of several great opportunities. The others might not have seen top-grade spirit stones before. Of course, if the price wasn't high, Night Sorrow and the others wouldn't have had the chance to see the lightning attribute crystal either. The stall owner was a 6th void inquiry stage cultivator. He didn't really care if others bought it or not. Is an extreme void pill enough? Night Sorrow did not want to use spirit stones. If he ran out of pills, he could still refine them. Besides, to him, level 5 pills were already redundant. However, high-grade spirit stones and top-grade spirit stones were very valuable. Both venerables and saints could use them. I only need 1 extreme void pill. The difference in value is too big. There's no way to negotiate. The black-robed man said. How about the clear void pill? Night Sorrow asked. He noticed that when he mentioned the extreme void pill, the corner of the stall owner's eyes twitched a little. 50 clear void pills and 1 extreme void pill in exchange for a lightning attribute crystal. After thinking for a while, the man said. 100 clear void pills and 1 extreme void pill in exchange for the 2 lightning attribute crystals here. Night Sorrow stated his intention. This isn't appropriate. The stall owner shook his head. Night Sorrow did not say anything and directly walked forward. He felt that this man was raising the price on the spot. The price he offered was already not low. All right. Don't go. It's your turn. Seeing Night Sorrow walking away, the stall owner shouted. There are 20 pills in this bottle. After Night Sorrow turned around, he took out 5 bottles of clear void pills and 1 extreme void pill and handed them to the stall owner. Then, he took the lightning attribute crystal from the stall owner who had finished inspecting the pills. Glancing at the lightning attribute crystal, Night Sorrow directly left Yang Lei and continued to move forward. We've made a profit. Although the pills are precious, we can still get them. However, the lightning attribute crystal is very rare. Sikong Chuyu said. Why would he do something like this? He didn't want to exchange just now. Yang Lei glanced at Night Sorrow and said. She was obviously a little unhappy. Ninth senior sister, I know that he will definitely exchange. Don't cultivators need resources? Besides, if he doesn't agree, I will walk a few steps back and agree to the exchange. Will I give up the resources that ninth senior sister needs for a pill? Night Sorrow said with a wry smile. All right. I misunderstood you. Yang Lei said while holding Night Sorrow's arm. We don't lack resources and spirit stones, but we can't let others take advantage of us. Well, let's continue to search for treasures. There are really some good things here. Night Sorrow said while patting Yang Lei's hand that was holding his arm. Then, the three of them continued to stroll around. When they came to an old man's stall, Night Sorrow's footsteps stopped again. "Senior, how much is this clear void pill?" Night Sorrow squatted down and asked. 20 top-grade crystal stones for a bottle, 10 pills for a bottle. The old man said. "This price is not bad." "Then give me a bottle." "What kind of stone is this?" Night Sorrow pointed to 2 cyan stones on the side of the stall and asked. "I don't know. I got it in an ancient ruin. I almost died there. I don't know what material it is, but it is incomparably hard. If you want it, it will be 20 top-grade spirit stones. Although I don't know what material it is definitely worth the price." The old man said. Chapter 474. A Genius Remembers Love in 1 Second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. At first, Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu didn't understand why Night Sorrow wanted to ask about medicinal pills. Both of them knew that Night Sorrow had a lot of clear void pills and great void pills. He also had a lot of materials that he hadn't refined yet, so it was impossible for him to be interested in pills. Seeing Night Sorrow ask about the stones, the two girls understood that Night Sorrow's real goal was the 2 cyan stones. "Don't you think it's inappropriate for you to ask for 20 upper-level spirit stones for materials that you don't know the value of?" Yang Lei asked. U5 forever HJ forever HK Phi C small MB say /4" perhaps. "This stone may not have much value, but I almost lost my life in that adventure. Just based on that, it's worth this price in my heart," the old man said. "All right. Buy it. Go back and study it to see what it is." Yi Shang took out 40 high-grade spirit stones and gave them to the old man. Then, the old man gave a bottle of clear void pills and 2 stones to Night Sorrow. After putting away the clear void pill and the cyan stone, Night Sorrow continued to lead the 2 women forward. "Night Sorrow, what's that?" Sikong Chuyu asked after they were some distance away from the old man's stall. "A great opportunity, or rather, a great opportunity for both of you. Let's talk about it when we return to the inn." Yi Shan scanned the surroundings and then said, "Let's go," Yi Shan said as he scanned the surroundings. Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu nodded. They knew that Night Sorrow was not someone who liked to exaggerate. If he said that it was a great opportunity, then it must be a very precious treasure. Following that, the 3 of them continued to stroll around the street stall. However, it would appear that their luck had run out. After failing to find anything else, the 3 of them returned to the inn. "Hurry up and tell us what that is." Yang Lei shook Night Sorrow's arm and said. "Void Dao Stone, a top-notch medium for condensing clones. It can even be said that its value is comparable to source stones. I originally had 1, but today I got 2 more. The problem of condensing clones in the future has been solved," Night Sorrow said with a smile. "Void Dao Stone. It's actually the legendary Void Dao Stone. Void Dao Stone is the best medium for condensing soul clones. However, it's hard to say if Ninth Senior Sister and I can condense clones. The prerequisite for condensing clones is that your soul power is strong. If your soul power is not strong enough and you split a part of it, the consequences," Sikong Chuyu said. "This thing is a good treasure. If you need it, come and get it from me. Today's luck is really good." Night Sorrow was more excited. One of the Void Dao stones that Night Sorrow had obtained today was relatively large, while the other was relatively small. The larger one was 3 times larger than Wu Lingfei's Void Dao stone orb, and the smaller one was similar to the one he had obtained before. It was about the same size as the one Wu Lingfei had used. "Today, I'll stick it all to you. These 2 thunder attribute crystal stones can increase my attribute power. Let's not talk about how much my cultivation will increase, but if my main attribute power increases, my fighting strength will increase. Yang Lei was more excited. Hee hee, it's good that it's helpful. Night Sorrow smiled and nodded. He was happy for Yang Lei. Ninth senior sister, did you notice that our family's Night Sorrow is very smart? He knew that the Void Dao Stone was the main point, but he still opened his mouth to buy pills. This move is very beautiful. Sikong Chuyu smiled as he looked at Night Sorrow. Indeed, if we directly ask the stone, the old man will pay attention. It's possible that he will raise the price, and there will also be other variables. This way, it will be solved easily. Yang Lei nodded, she also agreed with Night Sorrow's method. In the future, we have to walk around more. Who knows, we might be able to meet someone who sells water attribute crystal stones and nothingness attribute crystal stones. Night Sorrow said. Don't even think about it. There are a lot of water attribute cultivators, so water attribute crystal stones are definitely in short supply. As for nothingness attribute crystal stones, you dare to think about it? Without nothingness energy as a foundation, how can it produce nothingness crystal stones? You should refine that thing and go to the void fiendish space to look for it. Sikong Chuyu said to attack Night Sorrow. Alright. Then can I go look for other attributes? I can use ice attribute crystal stones and space attribute crystal stones. Night Sorrow retorted with a smile. You're awesome. Sikong Chuyu gave Night Sorrow a thumbs up. Rest. Chuyu, why don't the three of us sleep together? Yang Lei asked Sikong Chuyu with a smile. I still care about my face. Do you still want to see me tomorrow? Sikong Chuyu rolled his eyes at Yang Lei. This is between the three of us. Others don't know. What's there to be afraid of? 13, ninth senior sister will help you massage. You do it. Yang Lei hugged Sikong Chuyu's shoulders and pressed Sikong Chuyu onto the bed. Ninth senior sister, this is someone else's house. The Venerable One's soul power is very strong. He will find out. If we want to cause trouble, we will do it at home. Night Sorrow reached out to help Sikong Chuyu up. You only know how to bully me. Sikong Chuyu, who was pulled up by Night Sorrow, directly pressed down on Yang Lei's body. Two jade hands were kneading Yang Lei's breasts. Don't move. That's 13th. Yang Lei turned over and pressed Sikong Chuyu down. Night Sorrow was helpless, but he was also happy. This proved that the two of them had a good relationship. After fooling around for a while, the two girls stopped. Their faces were red as they tidied up their skirts. Chuyu, I'm not joking. I can't handle him alone. Yang Lei looked at Night Sorrow and said. Night Sorrow had finished cultivating the outer chapter of the Myriad Taoist Tome. His ability in that area had become much stronger. Every time they were together, the two girls would have a hard time. We'll talk about it when we get home. Sikong Chuyu didn't refute this time. Then the three of them sat down to cultivate. Time was squeezed out. Only by putting all their time and energy into cultivation would they have any achievements. The next day, the three of them continued to walk the streets, but they didn't gain anything. Night Sorrow knew that it was impossible for good things to happen when they went out. He should be satisfied with obtaining the Phantom Taoist Stone. After resting for 2 days, Lan Yuxuan took the three of them to the Sky-Bearing region's capital, Sky-Bearing City. After exiting the teleportation array, the four of them rode Tianyu and the dark-feathered eagle under Lan Yuxuan's guidance. In the sky, Night Sorrow and the others saw a tall pagoda that reached into the clouds. The tip of the pagoda emitted light that rippled in all directions. That's the symbol of the Sky-Bearing region, the Xiantian Tower. If you have time, you can go and challenge it. If you reach a high level, the rewards will be great. Lan Yuxuan said to Night Sorrow and the others. Night Sorrow thought for a moment and asked, who's the owner of the Xiantian Tower? I've never heard of an owner. It's owned by the city lord's mansion. Some spirit treasures are very difficult to control because the artifact spirit doesn't recognize them. It's hard to say what level the Shantian Tower is at right now. It has existed for countless years and might have evolved, so it's not that easy to become its owner. Even the city lord of the royal city can't do it. Lan Yushuan said. It's the strongest spirit treasure of the sky-bearing region and the symbol of the sky-bearing region. Sikong Chuyu said. Then if we just leave it like this, aren't we afraid that someone will recognize it as its owner and move it away? Yang Lei said. It's not that easy. Countless people have tried to challenge the tower over the years, but no one has been recognized by the Shantian Tower. Besides, there are so many elders guarding it. If anyone wants to move it away, it's no different from poking a hornet's nest. Lan Yushuan said with a smile, "You're tuning into the Dreamy Love Stories YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories."